Chapter 1753. That was an almighty. Among them, he was an absolutely terrifying existence. But now he had been killed. It had to be said that this was really too shocking. What kind of seal is that? It's so terrifying. Even mighty figures can be killed easily. Doesn't this mean that we'll have to stay in this primitive forest for the rest of our lives? No. Voices of despair rang out. It was obvious that everyone had suffered a severe blow. They were geniuses and elites of the top factions. They had come here in search of opportunities. But they had not expected such a terrifying thing to happen. They had been sealed here and could not return. To them, this was a form of despair. Not only them, but the other martial artists, seniors, elders, and almighties also had ugly expressions on their faces. They had never expected such a thing to happen. The top factions were even more solemn. This was because there were a few very powerful people who had come this time. For example, the Alcate Sage and Yi Wudao had frightening statuses. If they died here, the Alcate Sacred Land and Yi family would probably go berserk. Especially the Yi family. As a clan of the ancients, their anger would probably burn the entire eastern wilderness. Lin Xian was also very surprised. He had not expected such a thing to happen. The dark red dragon's expression was also solemn. He said, "Kid, be careful. I'm afraid there will be a huge riot in this primitive forest soon. There's no way back now. There will definitely be a riot here, and a new order will be established. Also, those peerless powerhouses need enough energy to cultivate." This was because only by breaking through to become a super mighty figure could one open the seal and return. Hearing this, Lin Xian fell silent. He knew that the dark red dragon was right. The primitive forest would probably usher in a dark age. And if he wanted to survive such chaos, he had to be strong enough. Otherwise, even if he survived, he would become someone's slave. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Without any hesitation, his body flashed, and he quickly flew into the distance. He wanted to find enough dragon crystals and divine crystals to strengthen himself. Sure enough, as expected, the entire primeval forest was in turmoil in the next few days. Those who held grudges, and those who were greedy attacked without regard for anything else. Because he was already in despair and had nothing to worry about. Some martial artists' enemies were disciples of holy lands. Before this, they didn't dare to make a move. Even if they were stronger than others, they didn't dare. This was because if they killed a disciple of the Holy Land, they would definitely be hunted down by the Holy Land. But now these worries were completely gone. Because no one knew if they would be able to leave this place in their lifetime. Those people decided to act decisively. There were also some who were greedy for energy, martial arts, and beauties. In short, intense battles broke out in the entire primeval forest. No one was spared. Among them, there were a few who were very powerful. The first was Zhao Tianxia. She had the giant, and could be said to be very powerful. She also had many martial artists gathered around her. It was the first powerful force to be organized. The other was Lu Mingyue. She was a genius of the All Beginnings Holy Land. Not only was she powerful, but she was also extremely beautiful. Thus, she had gathered a group of followers. The other was the Alcate Saint. The Yaoguang Saint Sun's strength was even more terrifying. Moreover, there were many people from the Yaoguang Holy Land. Therefore, under his prestige, he quickly established a huge force. There was almost no one who could contend with the Alcate Saint Sun. Of course, Yi Wudao was an exception. The average person didn't know Yi Wudao's identity. But those who knew Yi Wudao's identity didn't dare to underestimate him. Even the Alcate Saint Sun would go all out against Yi Wudao. That was because Yi Wudao's identity was too terrifying. Apart from these people, there were also other allied organizations, large and small groups. In short, the entire primeval forest was extremely chaotic. But after a few days, the battles gradually calmed down. That was because excessive killing was useless. They had to think carefully about what to do next. On the other side, Lin Xian was secretly cultivating. Although he hadn't found any dragon crystals or divine crystals, Lin Xian didn't lack the energy to cultivate with the 5-colored divine stone in his hand. That was because the 5-colored divine stone could absorb the world's spiritual energy and transform it into 5-colored energy. Moreover, the energy it transformed into was extremely pure. It wasn't inferior to dragon crystals or divine crystals. Thus, Lin Xian's cultivation and strength were constantly increasing. However, he didn't keep cultivating. After calculating the time, he felt that the battle outside was almost over. Moreover, he also wanted to know what changes had happened in the primeval forest. He decided to go out and take a look. Sure enough, not long after Lin Xian went out, he received news of what had happened in the past few days. Just as he expected, after he left, a great battle broke out in the forest. Then the battle was extinguished. What followed was the combination of various groups and forces. Even the Alcate Saint, Zhao Tianxia, and the others took the lead to set the rules in this forest. There was no other way. The Alcate Saint and the others were too strong. Their strength was incomparably powerful. If they joined forces, the other small groups wouldn't dare to resist. However, these small groups weren't to be trifled with. That was because the warriors who could come to this primeval forest were all elite warriors. Although these small groups were weak, they knew how to work together to resist. For a time, the Alcate Saint and the others couldn't do anything to these small groups. Therefore, under such circumstances, they set the rules that belonged to this primeval forest. After Lin Xian heard these rules, he immediately smiled. Because one of the rules was that they couldn't fight casually. This was to prevent powerhouses from forcefully killing the weak. However, this forest had never been afraid of fighting. If they wanted to fight, they had to be witnessed by others. In other words, assassinations and rude attacks were avoided. After hearing this news, Lin Xian was overjoyed. He was still worried that those people from Scorpio would attack him crazily. Now, it seemed that there shouldn't be a big problem. Therefore, he directly swaggered out. Sure enough, many warriors immediately exclaimed when they saw Lin Xian. They were no stranger to Lin Xian, because Lin Xian had defeated Ouyang Feng before, and was even chased by Giant. In the past few days, Lin Xian hadn't shown up. They thought that Lin Xian had died in the dark riot. However, they didn't expect him to appear again. Immediately, a few organizations came out and threw an olive branch to Lin Xian, inviting him to join. Chapter 1754. Immediately, several organizations came out and extended an olive branch to Lin Xian, inviting him to join. They even offered generous conditions, including beautiful women, energy sources, and cultivation techniques. However, they were all rejected by Lin Xian. He did not want to join any organization or alliance, because it would limit him. Moreover, with his and the dark red divine dragon's methods, they were like fish in water in this forest. However, it did not take long for the news of Lin Xian's return to the forest to spread. When Zhao Tianxia and the others heard the news, they all gritted their teeth and quickly rushed over. However, the first to arrive was not Zhao Tianxia, but a tall magical beast youth Ouyang Feng. Ever since he lost to Lin Xian, he had always thought that it was the greatest humiliation of his life. Therefore, he had been cultivating hard these days, and had absorbed the blood of many powerful demon kings, to increase his strength again. Now he could condense 3 immemorial golems. In his opinion, he could easily defeat Lin Xian. Therefore, this time, when he heard that Lin Xian had returned, he was the first to arrive. He wanted to defeat Lin Xian in front of everyone to prove himself. Lin Xian saw the tall magical beast youth opposite him, and suddenly became happy. He did not expect that the first to come looking for him would be Ouyang Feng. "Loser, why are you looking for me?" Lin Xian asked. "Don't tell me you want me to join your organization?" "Humph, I lost to you last time. But this time, I will never lose to you again. I will kill you with my own hands." Ouyang Feng said coldly. "Is that so?" Lin Xian shrugged. "Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and do it. You don't have to provoke me. There are rules in this forest now. We can fight, but we have to follow the rules." Ouyang Feng's lips curled into a cold smile. He wanted to defeat his opponent in front of everyone to prove himself. Not long after, Zhao Tianxia and Lu Mingyue arrived. At the same time, the pale-faced youth, Yan Qing, also arrived. Among them, Zhao Tianxia represented the Giant Valley, while Lu Ming formed his own Bright Moon organization. The pale youth Yan Qing had also established the Thorn Flower organization. With the 3 major organizations present, the battle could begin. Not only these three big organizations, but the other martial artists in the forest also rushed over when they heard the news. Whether it was Ouyang Feng or Lin Xian, they were both extremely powerful existences in their eyes. There was no way they would miss out on such a battle. The location of the battle was chosen to be far away from the powerful demon kings. They were afraid that their battle would affect the demon king. If the demon king went berserk, they would all suffer. After all, the most powerful people in this primeval forest weren't them, Holy Sun Alcade, or Leaf Daudinier. Instead, it was the terrifying demon king here. No matter how strong they were, they didn't dare to provoke those demon kings. Brat, today I will use your blood to wash away my shame. Ouyang Feng roared and his body shone brightly. The terrifying immemorial demonic elephant domain instantly shrouded the area. His aura continued to rise. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and his tall body made him look like a human-shaped Tyrannosaurus. Boom! With a wave of his fist, three immemorial demonic elephants quickly appeared. They roared and rushed toward Lin Xian. What? 3 immemorial demonic elephants? Seeing this scene, the martial artists watching the battle felt their scalps go numb. They didn't expect Ouyang Feng to become stronger and be able to condense 3 immemorial demonic elephants. No wonder he dared to challenge Lin Xian again. His strength was probably much stronger than before. Lu Mingyue, Yin Qing, and the others looked at this scene with a slight smile. They knew how terrifying 3 immemorial demonic elephants were. Lin Xian probably couldn't contend with them. The current Ouyang Feng was no longer the Ouyang Feng from before. He was absolutely terrifying. Sun Yang also revealed a sneer. Seeing the 3 immemorial demonic elephants, Lin Xian was surprised. No wonder he dared to challenge him again. It turned out that his fist technique had improved. But so what? His opponent had improved, and so had he. Moreover, his improved strength was even more powerful. So with a cold snort, Lin Xian quickly brandished the 5 elements fist. Boom! Earth element fist. He waved his fist, and a terrifying power covered the entire world, as if to suppress the 3 immemorial demonic elephants in front of him. Boom! Boom! In the next moment, there was a fierce collision, and dust flew all over the sky. The earth cracked, but it turned into countless sharp earth spikes, and shot towards the immemorial demonic elephants. At this moment, Lin Xian became the master of the earth. Terrifying energy swept in all directions, covering the entire forest. At this moment, the faces of the people watching the battle changed. This energy was simply too terrifying. Just the aftermath alone was enough to make them shudder with fear. However, Ouyang Feng was shocked. He didn't expect his opponent's strength to increase and be able to resist his attack. Impossible. How could this kid become so strong? He can even resist 3 immemorial demonic elephants. The others were also shocked. They found that Lin Xian's strength was beyond their expectations. Kill! Ouyang Feng roared, and the black wind rose. His whole body was like a demonic beast, moving wildly. Lin Xian brandished the 5 elements fist with the dragon sword soul as the foundation. It was extremely terrifying. The 2 of them kept fighting, and the earth cracked. Terrifying scenes appeared one after another. At this moment, everyone around was stunned, because the 2 of them were too powerful. The 3 immemorial demonic elephants were enough to suppress most of the people present, but they couldn't defeat Lin Xian. Lin Xian's 5 elements fist was ever-changing and terrifying. It could dissolve everything in the world. It was so much so that even the people from the 5 elements sect opened their eyes wide in disbelief. They didn't understand why the other party knew their sect's unique skill. Boom! After 50 moves, Ouyang Feng suddenly roared. The aura on his body skyrocketed again, and the 3 immemorial demonic elephants in front of him quickly merged. Their bodies kept growing, and they suppressed Lin Xian. In an instant the earth cracked, and it couldn't withstand the power at all. 5 elements fusion, true dragon attack. Lin Xian waved his fist, and the profound meaning of the 5 elements fused together, turning into a 5-colored divine dragon that rushed out. The huge dragon claw directly slapped the immemorial demonic elephant. Crack! The immemorial demonic elephant howled, turned into spiritual energy, and shattered on the ground. Ouyang Feng's body was also blasted away by the huge energy. Boom! Boom, boom, boom. Ouyang Feng fell on the ground after retreating for 3,000 meters and breaking countless mountains and trees. Ah, damn it. I don't believe it. Ouyang Feng roared at the sky, his black hair fluttering, and his whole person became extremely ferocious. Defeated again. Chapter 1755. Defeated again. He was sent flying again, which was unbearable for him. One should know that this time, he had condensed 3 immemorial demonic elephants. Compared to before, his strength could be said to have undergone earth-shattering changes. However, he was still unable to defeat his opponent. Damn it, I don't believe it. Ouyang Feng roared madly. However, in the next moment, his pupils constricted, because his opponent was already in front of him. Apocalyptic Black Dragon Fist. At this moment, Lin Xian did not perform the 5 elements fist. Instead, he performed a more violent and destructive fist technique. He had already practiced the Apocalyptic Black Dragon Fist to the great accomplishment realm. It was extremely terrifying. The terrifying fist was like a black dragon, which violently blasted forward. Damn it, block it for me. Ouyang Feng's pupils constricted. He did not expect his opponent to be so fast. In the next moment, he waved his arms and formed a tall Hell's Gate in front of him. Bang! In the next moment, the Black Dragon Fist collided with the Hell's Gate, making a shocking sound of collision. The Hell's Gate was extremely mysterious. No one knew what kind of technique it was, but it was not damaged. However, the terrifying power of the Apocalyptic Black Dragon Fist passed through the Hell's Gate and violently blasted Ouyang Feng's arms. Crack! Crack! Ouyang Feng's arms were broken, and his body was sent flying again. What? Seeing this, everyone was stunned. They did not expect Ouyang Feng to be defeated so miserably. Isn't this Lin Xian a little too strong? Everyone was shocked. After Lin Xian succeeded, he did not stop. Instead, his body was like lightning as he charged over once again. It was a good time to get rid of his opponent. He would not show mercy to such an enemy. In the next moment, he turned into a sword light and quickly rushed forward. Lin Xian moved like lightning and attacked Ouyang Feng again. What? Seeing this, everyone's scalp went numb. They did not expect Lin Xian to continue attacking. Was he not afraid of the revenge of the 3 major organizations? Stop! At this moment, another cold shout was heard. Then, 2 green vines turned into rays of light and instantly attacked Lin Xian. That is, Yanqing has made his move. Everyone cried out in alarm. There were immediately people who were dissatisfied, because they had already broken the rules. Indeed, Yanqing had broken the rules. This was because according to the new rules, the battle would only end when one side died, or admit defeat. Before this, Ouyang Feng did not take the initiative to admit defeat, and he did not die, which meant that the battle was not over yet. No one else was allowed to interfere. However, at that moment Yanqing attacked. This caused many people to feel discontent. The reason for that was because they felt that the other party was truly bullying them intolerably. Lin Xian also snorted coldly. Sword chi gushed out from his body, transforming into a long river that fiercely crashed forward. Boom! The green vines were sliced into 2. Lin Xian executed Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps, his speed reaching the extreme. In the next moment, he arrived in front of Ouyang Feng. With a wave of his hand, a sharp sword light slashed down rapidly. Puff! The sword slashed at Ouyang Feng's body and sent him flying. Immediately, blood splattered everywhere, and the surroundings fell silent. The surrounding people were all stunned. They did not expect Lin Xian to be so powerful even though Yanqing had intervened to stop him. Yanqing's face turned gloomy. Lin Xian's speed was too fast, and he actually managed to dodge his attack. Killing someone in public was undoubtedly a slap to his face. Moreover, what made his face even gloomier was that Lin Xian had actually succeeded. Looking at the sword that had landed on Ouyang Feng's body, even if he did not die, he would probably be crippled. After sending Ouyang Feng flying again, Lin Xian did not make a move. His body swayed and landed on the ground. He was extremely fierce, like the god of death. At that moment, everyone looked at Lin Xian and trembled. In fact, many people immediately invited Lin Xian again and offered great benefits. They wanted to invite Lin Xian to join their organization. If they could invite such a terrifying young genius, he would definitely be a powerful force. Unfortunately, Lin Xian had no intention of joining the organization from the beginning, so he rejected them one by one. However, that did not affect Lin Xian's reputation. From then on, Lin Xian's reputation spread throughout the entire forest. On the other side, Zhao Tianxia, Lu Mingyue, Yin Qing, and the others looked extremely gloomy. They looked at Lin Xian with murderous intent in their eyes. That was because the power that Lin Xian had displayed was too shocking. It had only been a few days, but Lin Xian's power had increased so much. Needless to say, he must have obtained some treasure or opportunity in the forest. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to improve so quickly. They had to think of a way to get rid of such a great enemy. Otherwise, the threat to them would be too great. A heaven-shaking great battle came to an end just like this. Both parties left, and the forest returned to its peaceful state. However, Ouyang Feng's body was still lying there, and no one cared about it. However, his storage ring had been taken away mercilessly. That was the cruel primitive forest. No one cared about a dead person. Even if Lu Mingyue, Yin Qing, and the others were once Ouyang Feng's companions, they did not care about the corpse now. However, after everyone left, the void suddenly split open. A silver-white hand reached out, grabbed Ouyang Feng's body and disappeared. No one knew what had happened. Lin Xian did not know either. After he killed Ouyang Feng, he had left the area and set off towards the depths of the forest again. Lin Xian knew that the strength that he had displayed in killing Ouyang Feng had probably aroused the killing intent of some people. He did not know how many there were in the dark, but on the surface, there were at least Zhao Tianxia, Lu Mingyue, Yin Qing, and the others. Every one of those people was incomparably powerful. They were not weaker than Ouyang Feng. Moreover, in this forest, there must be their own opportunities. No one knew how powerful they were now. Therefore, Lin Xian had to be careful. Although he would not join any organization, it did not mean that he would not form an alliance with others. Right now, he wanted to find someone to form an alliance with. Naturally, that person was Yi Wudao. Yi Wudao currently had a huge faction, so Lin Xian easily found out where he was. After passing through the dense forest, Lin Xian arrived at a quiet place. There were birds chirping and flowers fragrant here. Spiritual qi was abundant, and there were no powerful Yao kings around. It was indeed a good place to live. As expected of the Yi family, even in this primitive forest, it was a terrifying monster. Lin Xian now knew that Yi Wudao's identity was not ordinary. It was very likely that he was a disciple of the Yi family. Chapter 1756. As soon as Lin Xian appeared, he felt that there were no less than 3 powerful soul powers in the surroundings that were staring at him. Furthermore, these soul forces were terrifyingly powerful. Needless to say, they belonged to almighty experts. Lin Xian's expression tensed up when he sensed the soul power of these almighties. "Senior, I'm here to look for Leaf Daodinier. I have no ill intentions." Hearing Lin Xian's words, 2 of the soul forces retreated. However, the last one didn't relax in the slightest. After a while, laughter rang out from the forest, and the last soul force retreated. Lin Xian knew that Leaf Daodinier knew he was coming, so he didn't hesitate and strode in. Sure enough, a handsome young man in white stood in front of him. It was none other than Leaf Daodinier. "Brother Dragon, you're here," Leaf Daodinier said with a smile. "You're famous now." Lin Xian shook his head. "Don't make fun of me, Brother Yi. Compared to you, my reputation is nothing." "You can't say that. Your reputation isn't weak at all." Indeed, Lin Xian's reputation was like the sun at high noon. His accomplishments were simply too many, not to mention his previous exploits. Just the fact that he killed Ouyang Feng was enough to cause a huge stir. Leaf Daodinier looked at Lin Xian and said, "Brother Dragon, would you like to join us?" "Join you?" Lin Xian was shocked. He hadn't expected Leaf Daodinier to make such an offer. This was something he hadn't even considered before. After all, the Yi clan was a clan of the ancients. After thinking for a while, Lin Xian said, "Brother Yi, I appreciate your good intentions, but I don't want to bring you any trouble." But Leaf Daodinier said, Brother Dragon, you're overthinking things. We don't want you to join us, because we want you. We want you to join us because you're strong enough. Even here you are still an elite. Leaf Doudinier was right. Lin Xian was strong enough to be taken seriously even in the Yi clan. However, Lin Xian still shook his head. I didn't just offend Zhao Tianxia and Ouyang Feng. There are some even more terrifying existences. I don't want to cause trouble for your Yi clan. Lin Xian was right. He had not only offended people like Lu Mingyue and Zhao Tianxia. He had also offended people from the Wavering Light Holy Land, the All Beginnings Holy Land, and the Five Elements sect. Especially now, he was wanted by the Wavering Light Holy Land. If his identity was exposed, he would probably attract the pursuit of most of the warriors. He even had the heavenly secret divine eyes. If this was exposed, no one would let him go. The Yi clan would most likely not be spared, and would make a move against him. Therefore, Lin Xian would not join the Yi family. At the very least, he wouldn't stay with these almighties, because their methods were too terrifying. Who knew when they would discover his secret? However, Lin Xian had come to form an alliance. Therefore, he said, although I can't join your Yi clan, we can form an alliance. We can help each other. When we are in trouble, we can help each other. How about it? All right. Leaf Doudinier smiled. Although he couldn't let Lin Xian join them, they could form an alliance. It wasn't a bad choice. Although the Yi clan was powerful, it wasn't that they didn't have enemies. In the past few days, they had suffered several inexplicable attacks. They could form an alliance. They would do their best to form an alliance. They naturally wouldn't miss out on a young genius like Lin Xian. Moreover, Leaf Doudinier also wanted to make friends with Lin Xian. After that, Lin Xian left and returned to a safe place. He flipped his hand and took out a 5-colored crystal. This 5-colored crystal was formed by the energy of the 5-colored divine stone. For convenience, Lin Xian had turned the energy of the 5-colored divine stone into small crystals, so that he could absorb it when he was free. This was convenient, and could quickly provide him with energy. Over the next few days, Lin Xian searched for other sources of energy, while absorbing these crystals. However, no one knew that in the depths of the primeval forest, in a dark swamp, a tall young man crawled out of the muddy swamp. He looked at his body in shock, feeling the abundant energy in his body. Don't worry, your injuries are completely healed. Not only that, your cultivation has reached its peak. In front of the tall young man stood a blurry figure surrounded by black energy. It was impossible to see what was real or fake. Thank you for saving my life. The tall young man knelt on the ground and said, Master, from now on, I will follow you and be loyal to you until death. Very good. The mysterious figure smiled. I know that your enemy is Lin Xian, and I know that you want to kill him very much. Don't worry. As long as you follow me, become my subordinate and work for me, I will let you kill him with your own hands. Really? The tall young man was shocked, and suddenly raised his head. If anyone was here and saw this face, they would definitely scream. Because this tall young man was none other than the dead Ouyang Feng. However, for some reason he was now alive. The mysterious figure in front of him laughed. Of course it was true. Then, he waved his hand, and a silver-white palm pressed on Ouyang Feng's forehead. Buzz! Suddenly, a silver mark appeared on Ouyang Feng's forehead. It was the size of a coin, and was engraved with strange runes. The silver mark flickered and disappeared quickly. I have planted a special energy in your body. You can try it now. Hearing this, Ouyang Feng no longer hesitated. He stood up from the ground, and then activated the energy in his body to trigger the silver mark between his eyebrows. Buzz! The silver mark appeared and shone brightly. Not only that, mysterious runes appeared on it, and crawled all over Ouyang Feng's body. A terrifying and powerful energy was emitted from the silver mark. So powerful, Ouyang Feng was shocked. Then, he waved his fists and 4 immemorial demonic elephants surrounded him. Seeing this, Ouyang Feng sucked in a breath of cold air. Just a few days ago, he could only use 3 immemorial demonic elephants. However, now that he had come back from the dead, he could use 4 immemorial demonic elephants. This meant that his strength had improved tremendously. Thank you, Master. Ouyang Feng knew that everything he had now, including his life, was given to him by the mysterious man in front of him. Therefore, he swore to be loyal to him forever. The mysterious man nodded and then said, "Get up. I will give you some men. Together you can capture that kid." The mysterious man waved his hand, and 5 more figures appeared around him. Chapter 1757. The mysterious man waved his hand, and 5 figures appeared around him. If Lin Xian were here and saw this scene, he would definitely turn pale with fright. Because these 5 figures were Guochuan Fei Li Wei, and the others. These people were all killed by him before. But he didn't expect that they would all be resurrected now. Not only that, but their auras had also become more powerful. Go, wait for your good news. The mysterious man waved his hand, and Ouyang Feng and the other 5 instantly disappeared. These people did not attack immediately. Instead, they formed a dark organization first. They did not want to be surrounded and killed by others, so they decided to use the primeval forest's rules to get rid of Lin Xian. On the other side, Lin Xian, the dark red dragon, and the little white monkey attacked again. Their targets were the powerful demon kings. Of course, they were not targeting the demon kings themselves, but the spirit herbs, crystals, and eggs they were guarding. With the little white monkey's treasure bowl, Lin Xian, and the other speed and formations, they were able to succeed repeatedly. However, this also angered many demon kings. Immediately, the nearby forests went berserk again. Those who did not know the truth saw this scene, and their scalps went numb. They ran away like crazy. These few days, no one dared to wander around the forest. Lin Xian, on the other hand, had a rich harvest. He did not absorb the energy he obtained immediately. Instead, he first gave it to the 5-colored immortal stone. Then, he absorbed the 5-colored energy from the 5-colored immortal stone. Although this kind of conversion was a little troublesome, the 5-colored energy was purer and more abundant. Lin Xian's strength was also rapidly increasing. Now he was almost a mid-4-star king. This kind of improvement was very fast. One had to know that in the outside world, even the geniuses of the peerless sacred grounds and ancient families would need several years to increase their strength. Ordinary warriors might not be able to increase their strength even after decades or centuries. However, Lin Xian had made such a breakthrough in a little more than 10 days. One had to admit that this speed was simply too frightening. Not only that, but these days, he had been digesting and studying these few battles. He was now constantly exploring the power of the dragon sword soul. Previously, he had been using the sharpness of the dragon sword soul. That was why he had such a strong combat strength. However, looking at it now, that incomparably terrifying evolution ability was even more shocking. For example, Lin Xian did not know any of the 5 elements sex ultimate techniques, nor did he know any of the 4 symbols, sacred grounds ultimate techniques. However, with the help of the great dragon sword soul, he could use both the 5 elements fists and the immemorial golem fist. Furthermore, its power was even more terrifying than his opponent's fist technique. Not only could he imitate other people's martial arts, but he could also imitate a king's domain. If this kind of attack was used, it would definitely be extremely shocking. On this particular day, he wasn't working on his cultivation, because he had received a message from Leaf Daodinier. Therefore, Lin Xian set aside his cultivation and headed in the direction of Leaf Daodinier's group. It didn't take long for him to see Leaf Daodinier again. "Brother Dragon, you're in bad shape," Leaf Daodinier said grimly. "What's wrong?" Lin Xian was puzzled. Could it be that Zhao Tianxie and Lu Mingyue are joining forces to attack? He was not surprised at all, because the 2 sides would fight sooner or later. However, to his surprise, Leaf Daodinier shook his head. "It's not Zhao Tianxie and Lu Mingyue. It's another group." "Another group? Who's that?" Lin Xian frowned. "It's a newly formed mysterious group called the Dark Organization. For the past few days, the Dark Organization has been searching for your whereabouts." "Dark Organization?" Lin Xian frowned. He had never heard of this name before. Therefore he asked, "Who are the other party?" "I don't know. They're very mysterious. They all wear large black robes that cover their faces. There's even a black fog surrounding their bodies. However, their attacks are very swift and fierce." Once an organization with a dozen people clashed with them. In the end, the 6 of them defeated the small organization. Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. Not only were the other party few in number, but they were also very powerful. More importantly, they were hiding their identities. Who would attack him? He couldn't figure it out. But then he snorted coldly. Since they want to fight, then let's fight. Brother Long, do you want to fight them? Leaf Doudinier asked. His expression was solemn. The other party's strength can't be underestimated. In this battle, I'm afraid the other party will attack together with 6 people. It's too much for you to take on 6 of them alone. Moreover, the other party seems to have come prepared. It's fine. It's only 6 people. I'm confident. Lin Xian nodded solemnly. His eyes shone brightly. He also had his own plans. If he defeated this dark organization in front of everyone, his reputation would expand once again. When that time came, other organizations would think twice before making a move on him. In that case, his troubles would be greatly reduced. Soon, the news of Lin Xian challenging the dark organization spread. Suddenly, all the martial artists in the entire primitive forest were shocked. They didn't expect Lin Xian to really agree. For a moment, everyone was discussing. Is this guy's brain flooded with water? How dare he agree to such a thing? Yeah, that's 6 people. And they're extremely powerful. They've even defeated a large organization before. Such a force is absolutely terrifying. Someone actually dares to challenge them alone. He's really courting death. Just you wait. That kid is dead meat. This time, almost no one was optimistic about Lin Xian's chances. Because this was not a one-on-one battle, but a battle with an organization. Under such circumstances, a one-on-one battle was too disadvantageous. Zhao Tianxia, Lu Mingyue, Yan Qing, and the others sneered when they heard the news. Looks like I don't have to do anything. Someone else will take care of him. Zhao Tianxia snorted coldly. Then he moved and led his people to watch. On the other side, Lu Mingyue, Yan Qing, and the others also set off. Not only them, but most of the martial artists also set off. They wouldn't miss this shocking battle. In the forest, Ouyang Feng, Li Wei, and the others revealed sinister smiles when they heard the news. They were all people who had died once. This time, they were resurrected to kill Lin Xian. Originally, they thought that Lin Xian might refuse. If that happened, they might be in a lot of trouble. However, they didn't expect Lin Xian to agree. What an arrogant guy. He's courting death. How dare he attack the 6 of us? He's dead meat this time. He'll definitely take revenge for this. I must kill him to avenge the death of my friend. Chapter 1758. Cold shouts rang out one after another. These people were brimming with killing intent. They were incomparably cold as they swore to kill Lin Xian. They put on black robes and masks. Ouyang Feng's body swayed and shrunk until he reached the size of a normal person. He had no choice. If he walked out in his original form, he would definitely be recognized. That was because other than him, no one else was more than 3 meters tall. He did not want others to know that he was resurrected. That would ruin his master's plan. In a forest, more and more martial artists rushed over. They were discussing the upcoming battle. Not long after, a figure rushed over from afar. He was tall, handsome, and calm. It was Lin Xian. That's the kid? He's too arrogant. Humph. He's very ordinary. I don't see anything powerful about him. How dare he challenge the Dark Coalition? He's quite handsome. There were also women who were infatuated. However, more people sneered. What's the use of being handsome? He'll be finished soon. How dare he challenge the Dark Coalition? I'm afraid he's dead meat today. That's right. I heard that the Dark Coalition is very terrifying. Every one of them is a powerful machine. If the 6 of them attacked together, no one would be able to resist them. A series of discussions broke out as everyone's gaze landed on Lin Xian. At that moment, the void in the distance rippled. 6 black figures rushed over. They were 6 mysterious people in black robes and masks. Their bodies were surrounded by a black aura. It was impossible to see them clearly. Even soul power could not detect them. Whoosh! They landed on the ground. Each of them emitted a shocking murderous aura that pierced through heaven and earth. The surrounding martial artists were shocked and quickly retreated. What a terrifying murderous aura. It seems that they're determined to make a move this time. Many people felt their scalps tingle when they sensed the aura. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and sized up the 6 people in front of him. At the same time, he was puzzled. The murderous aura on them was too strong. It was as if there was a deep hatred between them. However, he did not know the 6 of them at all. Forget it. Lin Xian shook his head slightly. After defeating them and taking off their masks, he would know who they were. It was useless to guess now. In front of him, 6 black-robed men stood there. Their murderous aura soared to the sky, as if they were gods of death. Especially the one at the front. His murderous aura was like a giant dragon that soared into the sky. He stared at Lin Xian in front of him and said coldly, "Boy, are you going to die kneeling? Or are you going to surrender obediently? But no matter what method it is, I will make you wish you were dead." His voice was very low, like that of a demon. After Lin Xian heard this, he frowned. It seemed that the other party's resentment towards him was not small. However, he wasn't someone who would sit and wait for death. Thus he snorted coldly and said, "Enough nonsense. The 6 of you can come at me together." What? Hearing this, everyone was in an uproar, as if they couldn't believe their ears. Was he really going to challenge an entire organization by himself? This was crazy. At this moment, everyone was incomparably shocked. As for the 6 black-cloaked men at the front, they sneered. "Brat, you're too arrogant. However, since you're courting death, well, fulfill your wish." The 6 of them were like demons ready to attack. However, at this moment Lin Xian said, "Wait. This place isn't suitable for battle. I'm going to challenge the 6 of you alone. Give me some space. Otherwise, aren't you being too much of a bully?" "Space? What space do you want? Don't tell me you want to use the entire forest as a battlefield?" The black-cloaked men's voices were cold because they had fought Lin Xian before and knew that Lin Xian's speed was incomparably terrifying. If they were allowed to stretch the battle line, they were afraid that they would be defeated one by one. In that case, their advantage of working together would be gone. However, Lin Xian smiled and shook his head. "I don't need the entire forest. Just give me a valley." "A valley?" The surrounding warriors were stunned. The 6 black-cloaked men were also stunned. They didn't expect Lin Xian to choose a valley. The 6 of them discussed for a while, then revealed a sinister smile again. This was because if they started fighting now, Lin Xian might escape. However, choosing a valley was a different story. It was surrounded by mountains on 3 sides, and had only one exit. As long as they blocked the exit, Lin Xian wouldn't be able to escape. That way, they would be able to catch a turtle in a jar. Thinking of this, they did not hesitate at all and readily agreed. "Well, do as you say. Choose a valley. Kid, choose a grave for yourself." "Ha ha ha ha." They sneered, not putting Lin Xian in their eyes. Zhao Tianxia, Lu Mingyue, and the others also shook their heads in disdain. In their opinion, no matter what Lin Xian chose, he had no chance of winning this battle. On the other side, Yi Wudao also arrived, accompanied by 2 old men. When they saw Lin Xian's actions, they immediately said coldly, "This kid is too arrogant. He actually wants to fight against 6 experts by himself?" The 2 old men shook their heads. Yi Wudao's expression was grave, but he still spoke. "Don't underestimate Brother Long. I feel that he's very strong. He might not be weaker than me. How is that possible? Young master, you're..." One of the old men didn't believe him. But just as he was about to say something, he was stopped by the other. In front, Lin Xian moved, looking around. Finally, he chose a valley. This valley was surrounded by mountains on 3 sides. It was relatively spacious and suitable for battle. "Okay, this will be it," Lin Xian said. "This is the grave you chose for yourself. It's really nothing much. Kid, from now on, this will be your eternal resting place." The black-robed men sneered. As for the other spectators, they came to the surrounding mountains and silently watched the battle. They stood on top of the mountain and looked down. They could clearly see the entire battle. Soon the battle in the valley began. The 6 black-robed men roared, and a terrifying aura erupted from their bodies, instantly enveloping the entire valley. Even the spectators felt their scalps go numb, and their faces were filled with fear. because the aura of these 6 people was too strong. In the next moment, the 6 black-robed men joined forces and sealed off the only exit. Lin Xian coldly snorted, and a fierce light appeared on his body. It made him look like a god of war, powerful to the extreme. Moreover, to everyone's surprise, he didn't try to escape. He didn't even try to take a detour. Instead, he directly rushed over. What? He actually rushed over. What is this kid thinking? Isn't he courting death by directly confronting 6 people? It seems that he knows he's going to die, so he's giving up? Chapter 1759. Looks like he knows that he's going to die, so he's given up on himself. Doubtful voices were heard. Obviously, these people could not understand Lin Xian's behavior. In their opinion, the best way to face the 6 black-robed men was to wander around the valley and defeat them one by one to avoid being surrounded by them. That way, even if he could not win, he could at least stall for some time. However, Lin Xian's approach was completely out of everyone's expectations. He did not beat around the bush at all and directly faced them head-on. People who did that were either fools or idiots, or they had ungodly strength. Did Lin Xian really have ungodly strength? No one knew. The 6 black-robed men were stunned when they saw that, but then they shouted coldly. How dare he underestimate them and fight the 6 of them head-on? That was intolerable. Therefore, the next one of them roared angrily and charged forward like crazy demonic beasts. The distance between the 2 sides was getting closer and closer, and in the next moment, it was less than 10 meters. However, at that moment Lin Xian made his move. He waved his arm, and a sharp sword light instantly surged out. The sword light was too terrifying. It contained the aura of a dragon, and appeared in the air like lightning. In an instant, it slashed one of the black-robed men. Boom! After that attack, a horrifying crack appeared on the black-robed man's body. Blood splattered everywhere, and the man's body was sent flying backward and crashed onto the ground. What? He got him in one hit. When the crowd saw this scene, they all cried out in surprise. They could not believe that Lin Xian was the first to succeed and gain the upper hand. That was too unbelievable. One had to know that Lin Xian was alone, and he was facing 6 black-robed men, each of whom was extremely powerful. Even so, Lin Xian still gained the upper hand in the battle. It was hard to believe. Damn it, how did it turn out like this? Even the 6 black-robed men were shocked. They could not accept that fact at all. His strength has actually increased again. The leader of the black-robed men had a ferocious look on his face, and his eyes were as red as a wild beast's. He could not believe that the other party's strength had improved so much in such a short period of time. This was simply too heaven-defying. Go! Kill him! With a roar, they once again charged towards Lin Xian. Terrifying attacks surged towards him like waves. The void trembled, unable to withstand it at all. It was immediately torn apart. In the next moment, a violent power surged towards Lin Xian, surrounding him in an instant. Lin Xian coldly snorted, and his entire body blossomed with resplendent light. His entire being seemed to have transformed into a peerless divine sword, sweeping forward. Immediately, a huge crack appeared in the berserk energy. Then, he used Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps and rushed out quickly. Boom! In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of these black-robed men and punched out with both fists. His left hand was the fist of metal, and his right hand was the fist of fire. Both of his fists punched forward. On the left, golden light shone. The golden light seemed to have transformed into a golden sword. It was incomparably sharp and quickly pierced through the void. On the right, pitch-black flames surged out. The terrifying heat caused the entire void to distort. Boom! With 2 loud bangs, 2 black-robed men were sent flying, as if they had been struck by lightning. He's done it again. Seeing this scene, everyone's scalps went numb. They could not believe it, because Lin Xian was simply too powerful. In a total of 4 moves, he had injured 3 people. It could be said that they had never seen such a method before. The remaining 3 black-robed men were also terrified. They could not believe it at all. How could this be? How did he become so powerful? At this moment, on the distant mountain peak, Lu Mingyue, Zhao Tianxia, and the others had extremely grave expressions. Because this scene was completely different from what they had imagined. It could be said that the strength that Lin Xian displayed now was a world of difference compared to before. Damn it, what kind of treasure does this kid have? How could it be so heaven-defying? His strength has increased so quickly. Even the two old men standing next to Leaf Daudinier were shocked. How did this kid do it? How can his combat strength be so strong? Could it be that he can really be compared to young master? The two elders were extremely shocked. Yi Wudao, on the other hand, breathed a sigh of relief. Sure enough, he had not misjudged Lin Xian. Kill! The remaining three black-robed men roared crazily. The three of them had the strongest auras. At this moment, they were like gods and demons as they attacked crazily. Terrifying energy exploded. And in an instant, the void in front of them exploded, creating an extremely terrifying black hole. Whoosh! However, Lin Xian's speed was extremely fast. He narrowly avoided the energy bombardment, and then punched out with both fists, sweeping the three of them. A terrifying battle erupted. Lin Xian was fighting 1 against 3, but he was still not at a disadvantage. The more they watched, the more shocked they became. Humph! Suddenly, Lin Xian coldly snorted and changed his fist technique again. A primordial aura surged from his body. Roar! Roar! In the next moment, 2 long roars were heard, piercing through the sky as if 2 huge beasts had awakened. Then 2 immemorial demonic elephants rushed out from his fists and stood in the void. Their huge bodies carried endless energy, and their cold eyes were emotionless. The 2 immemorial demonic elephants seemed to have crossed time and space from hell. What? Immemorial demonic elephant fist. How does this kid know the 4 symbols sacred grounds fist technique? At this moment, everyone was shocked and could not believe it. The 3 black-robed men were extremely shocked, especially the one at the front. His body was trembling, as if he could not accept this fact. Impossible, this is impossible. How does he know the immemorial demonic elephant fist? This was the 4 symbols sacred grounds ultimate technique. How could an itinerant cultivator like him know such a fist technique? Under the mask, Ouyang Feng could not accept it. One had to know that such an ultimate technique could not be taught to outsiders. Even in the 4 symbols sacred ground, only the genius disciples could cultivate it. But now, Lin Xian was obviously not from the 4 symbols sacred ground, but he could use the immemorial demonic elephant fist. It was unbelievable. But now there was no time for them to think too much, because the 2 immemorial demonic elephants were already rushing towards them. Boom! 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 The void was trampled mercilessly, and countless black cracks appeared and spread in all directions. The 2 immemorial demonic elephants were like 2 mountains, pressing down on the 3 black-robed men. Get lost! Finally, the black-robed man at the front could not take it anymore. He also waved his fists, and a terrifying aura spread out in all directions. Not only that, but 2 huge phantoms also appeared on his fists. Immemorial demonic elephants. Boom! 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 The 4 immemorial demonic elephants collided in the air, and a terrifying aura tore through the sky. In the end, the 4 immemorial demonic elephants disappeared into the void at the same time. As for the surrounding crowd, they were all stunned. Chapter 1760. The surrounding crowd was dumbfounded. They did not expect the black-robed man to also know the immemorial golem fist. What was going on? They did not understand at all. Lin Xian's pupils also constricted abruptly, his face full of shock. To be honest, he did not expect the other party to use the immemorial golem fist. This was too unexpected. One had to know that the reason why he could use the immemorial golem fist was because of the great dragon sword soul. Apart from him, he had only seen Ouyang Feng use this fist technique. But now, the black-robed man in front of him actually knew this fist technique too. It really shocked him. Could it be that the other party was a 4 symbols Holy Land martial artist? For a moment, many people looked toward a mountain peak, because there were several 4 symbols Holy Land martial artists standing there. However, those people quickly shook their heads, because they did not know who the other party was. This was too shocking. There were actually 2 outsiders who could use their 4 symbols Holy Land's ultimate technique. This matter was definitely not simple. They had to investigate to the end. I did not expect you to be from the Four Symbols Holy Land. Are you here to avenge Ouyang Feng? Lin Xian asked with a frown. Humph, you don't need to know who I am. You only need to know that today is the day you die. The black-robed man snorted coldly. Then he waved his fist again and quickly charged forward. Since he had already used the immemorial golem fist, he would no longer hold back. For a moment, four terrifying immemorial golem elephants appeared around him and charged forward together. What? For immemorial golem elephants? How is this possible? Everyone was in an uproar again, because they did not expect the black-robed man to be so powerful. One had to know that Ouyang Feng, as an outstanding disciple of the Four Symbols Holy Land, could only use 3 immemorial golem elephants. And now, this black-robed man was even more terrifying than Ouyang Feng. When did such a terrifying figure appear in the Four Symbols Holy Land? Could he be the Four Symbols Holy Land saint? For a moment, everyone was shocked and asked the other Four Symbols Holy Land martial artists. As for the surrounding Four Symbols Holy Land martial artists, they were also very puzzled. Their brows were tightly knitted. They did not know who the black-robed man in front of them was. The 4 immemorial demonic elephants filled the void as they rushed forward with terrifying energy. Lin Xian's expression was solemn as well. He did not expect his opponent's ancient demonic elephant fist to be so powerful that it could summon 4 ancient demonic elephants. This was even more impressive than Ouyang Feng. Therefore, he did not dare to be careless. Brandishing both of his fists, the fist of water gushed out rapidly. Instantly, boundless seawater surged, covering the entire space. Crash! The seawater rushed towards the 4 immemorial demonic elephants and surrounded them in an instant. Not only that, but a huge whirlpool of ocean waves formed near each immemorial demonic elephant, forming a powerful force that firmly locked the immemorial demonic elephants, making them unable to move. This scene was truly too terrifying. No one had expected that Lin Xian would still be able to contend against the mysterious black-robed man's 4 immemorial demonic elephants. The face of the black-clothed man at the front also darkened. The fact that his opponent was able to contend with his 4 immemorial demonic elephants surprised him greatly. However, his strength was not limited to this. In the next moment he brandished his fists again. The 4 immemorial demonic elephants roared into the sky, and violent power gushed out from those immemorial demonic elephants. Boom! 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 The boundless whirlpool of ocean waves was directly stomped into a terrifying black hole. The 4 immemorial demonic elephants escaped the shackles of the cage and charged towards Lin Xian. At the same time, the other black-robed men also made their move. 2 of them were not injured, and the other 3 were injured. At this moment, they had recovered some of their injuries under the effect of the elixir. They would join forces again to attack. Umph! Seeing this scene, Lin Xian's black hair fluttered, and the dragon sword realm rushed out immediately, and then transformed into the water realm. Boundless waves swept in all directions. The waves were very terrifying, containing the aura of the great dragon sword spirit, resisting the 6 masters. Humph! However, one of the black-robed men sneered, then waved his fists, and also punched out a sky full of seawater. The fist of water! Everyone was shocked and could not believe it. They did not expect that one of the black-robed men would also know the 5-element fist, and even use it. To be honest, even Lin Xian was stunned. He did not expect that the other party would also know the 5-element fist. This was really unexpected. 5-element fist against 5-element fist. The boundless ocean surged, and the 2 forces collided in the air, continuously exchanging blows. Every time they collided, a thunderous sound would be heard. Lin Xian was also surprised. He did not expect that the other party would also have people from the 5-element sect. However, this was not the end. In the next moment, everyone screamed again. That was because the other black-robed man used the primal chaos energy and rapidly shot it out. That primal chaos energy was incomparably terrifying, and it could even kill a 6-star king. Primal chaos energy. It's a martial artist from the All Beginnings Holy Land. Everyone cried out in alarm. Even Lu Mingyue furrowed her brows. After all, she was an outstanding disciple of the All Beginnings Holy Land. She did not expect that one of the black-robed men would be her fellow disciple. Moreover, from the primal chaos energy, the other party was clearly an expert. However, who was the other party? Lu Mingyue also did not know. Lin Xian's expression was also grave. For a moment, he was surrounded by 6 experts. His situation was extremely dangerous. "Ice seal!" he roared. The boundless ocean waves in the surroundings surged and instantly froze, forming clouds of icy mist that froze the entire space. Ka. In an instant, the attacks that filled the sky, the terrifying scene, and the 6 black-robed men were all frozen in the icy mist. The surrounding ocean also instantly froze. This method could be said to be heaven-shaking. Lin Xian's figure flickered, and he rapidly retreated from the encirclement of the 6 black-robed men. In the next moment, the 6 black-robed men roared, and a terrifying light erupted from their bodies, shattering the icy mist. They once again pounced at Lin Xian. The 6 black-robed men were very powerful. However, what shocked Lin Xian even more was that the 6 black-robed men actually included people from the 4 Symbols Holy Lands, the All Beginnings Holy Land, and the 5 Elements sect. These people were all his enemies. He did not expect that they would actually attack him together. However, since this was the case, he would not show mercy. In the next moment, he roared and pulled out the 9 underworld demonic sword. A terrifying sword light tore through the sky. The seawater that filled the sky instantly turned into an incomparably terrifying sword chi. It swept out in all directions. Dang! 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 A heaven-shaking collision rang out. The 6 black-robed men were actually forced back by the sword chi. What? So powerful? What kind of sword chi is that? It can actually repel 6 experts. How did this guy do it? Everyone was shocked. They did not dare to believe it. The 6 black-robed men were also shocked. They were afraid that the other party's sword chi was too terrifying. It made them feel as if they were on the verge of death. Kill. Lin Xian held the 9 underworld demonic sword in his hand, and his entire body was surging with killing intent. Chapter 1761. Boom. One of the black-robed men was hit, and his black robe was instantly torn apart. Poof! In the next moment, he revealed his true face. The mask on his face and the surrounding black fog were all slashed apart. What? It's you! Lin Xian was shocked and could not believe what he was seeing. He actually knew the black-robed man. It was Wang Yu. However, he had already killed him. How could he still be alive? Moreover, he was much stronger than before. What was going on? Lin Xian could not understand at all. In addition, the people from the 5 Elements sect were also shocked because they also recognized Wang Yu. However, they did not know why Wang Yu was dressed like that and why he had become so powerful. Damn it! Wang Yu's expression was ferocious and murderous. His eyes were filled with viciousness. Wang Yu was still alive. How could this be? If that was the case, were the other black-robed men also dead and resurrected? Lin Xian furrowed his brows. He realized that the other party might not be any other cultivator, but one of the people he had killed before. In order to verify this idea, he stared at the black-robed man at the front. The other party used the ancient demonic elephant fist. He wanted to see if the other party was Ouyang Feng. Therefore, in the next moment, he used the heavenly dragon's 8 steps. With the demon sword in his hand, he turned into a shocking sword light and rushed forward. You're courting death. The black-robed man at the front saw Lin Xian and immediately roared. He waved his fist, and the 4 ancient demonic elephants quickly circled and formed a powerful hurricane that blasted out. Whoosh! Whoosh! The void was instantly torn apart. The powerful wind blade was extremely sharp and could destroy everything. However, Lin Xian only shook his long sword and pierced a black hole in the wind blade. He also rushed out in an instant. However, he was soon stopped by an ancient demonic elephant. Humph! You want to get close to me? You have no chance. The black-robed man at the front sneered. He naturally would not let the other party get close and would not expose his identity. An immemorial demonic elephant stood in front of Lin Xian, emitting a terrifying aura. It was like a giant wall that no one could cross. On the other hand, Lin Xian held the demonic sword in his hand. His entire being was extremely sharp as he faced this colossus alone. This scene was too terrifying, making one's scalp tingle. Although the immemorial demonic mammoths were only condensed from power, they felt like real ancient demonic beasts. They emitted a terrifying aura that made it hard for people to breathe. Lin Xian, on the other hand, didn't feel any discomfort. In fact, his aura was even more terrifying than that of the immemorial demonic elephant. Wang. In the next moment, Lin Xian made his move. He waved the 9 Serenities devil sword and quickly stabbed out. The terrifying sword light rushed out like a rain of light, emitting a trembling sound. Sword chi thunder. The terrifying sword light soared into the sky, stirring up the wind and clouds in all directions. Then, endless lightning accompanied by terrifying sword radiance fell from the sky rapidly. Rumble. The void trembled, and terrifying lightning filled the sky, completely drowning the immemorial demonic elephant. What a terrifying sword light and lightning! This young man was indeed amazing. On the surrounding mountain peaks, even the older generation figures and sect elders kept nodding their heads. The young disciples looked even more solemn, because the power that Lin Xian displayed made them tremble. Boom! The sky was filled with sword light and lightning, instantly piercing through an immemorial demonic elephant. Lin Xian was like a demon, walking quickly toward the black-robed men. How can this be? How can his sword technique be so powerful? The black-robed men's eyelids twitched wildly, because they realized that the other party's combat strength was too amazing. His cultivation was obviously inferior to theirs, but his combat strength made them feel a sense of despair. Damn it! Go! The black-robed man at the front roared again, and the 3 immemorial demonic elephants beside him roared out. It's useless. I must take off your mask today. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He waved his long sword, and the dragon sword realm around him quickly provided energy. Boom! Boom! 3 huge sword auras directly blasted the 3 immemorial demonic elephants away. For a moment, nothing could stop Lin Xian's footsteps. How can this be? The 6 black-robed men opposite him felt their scalps go numb, and kept retreating. Facing the young man in front of them, they felt like running away. I don't believe it. At this time, the black-robed man at the front roared, and his entire body turned into a demon, quickly pouncing. On his body, a huge light appeared in an instant, wanting to envelop Lin Xian. Buzz! The demonic sword swept across the sky, directly splitting the terrifying light. Not only that, the black-robed man's mask, black robe, and black mist were all split open. No! The black-robed man retreated, covering his face with his hand, looking very ferocious. It's really you. Lin Xian did not attack again, but his expression was incomparably cold. The surrounding martial artists were all stunned, and each of them widened their eyes in disbelief, because they had already seen the black-robed man's face. However, they could not accept this. Ouyang Feng. How can it be him? This is impossible. Among them, Yin Qing's face was full of shock, as if she had seen a ghost. Indeed, she had seen a ghost. One had to know that Ouyang Feng was killed in public, and everyone knew that. However, now he had come back to life. Not only that, but his strength had also increased greatly, which was too unbelievable. What was going on? At this moment, not only Yin Qing, but even Lu Mingyue and Zhao Tianxia were also extremely shocked. The other martial artists' minds were blank. A dead person coming back to life. This was completely illogical. They had never heard of such a thing. Everyone was stunned, but at the same time, they also knew why the other party would use the immemorial demonic elephant fist. Because the other party was originally a martial artist from the 4 Symbols sacred grounds. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes, looking at the other party. It's you, you're actually not dead. That's right, it's me. Since he had been recognized, Ouyang Feng did not hide anymore. His entire body bloomed with light, and his figure suddenly rose to 3 meters, returning to his original appearance. However, you're wrong about one thing. It's not that I didn't die, I came back to life. This time, I've come from hell for revenge. Today, I will kill you with my own hands. Ouyang Feng's expression was cold, and his eyes were like lightning, emitting a terrifying killing intent. Behind him, the other 5 black-robed men also tore off their black robes and took off the masks on their faces. Looking at those people, Lin Xian's expression was extremely grave, because those people were none other than Guo Chuanfei, Li Wei, Wang Yu, and the others who had been killed by him. It seemed that not only Ouyang Feng had come back to life, but the others had as well. However, how did the other party do it? What method was this? Chapter 1762. What kind of technique was that? Lin Xian was extremely shocked. Even He Tu and the dark red divine dragon, who were hidden inside the black earth, were stunned. They could not believe it. Kid, be careful. They're too strange. The 2 of them transmitted their voices. Lin Xian's expression was solemn, and the aura on his body became even sharper. I don't know how you came back to life, but if I can kill you once, I can kill you a second time. Since you're in a hurry to die, I'll fulfill your wish. You're courting death. Shameless boasting. You're definitely not a match for the 6 of us. Ouyang Feng and the others shouted coldly. Their expressions were ferocious. In the next moment they pounced crazily. This time, they no longer had any scruples. They attacked with all their might, using their respective ultimate techniques. Immemorial demonic elephant fist. Ouyang Feng shouted. He was like a demon, and the terrifying immemorial demonic elephant rampaged. 5 elements fist. Li Wei used the 5 elements fist. The 5-colored light kept flickering, terrifying and strange. Chaotic light. Guo Chuanfei shot out beams of terrifying light, tearing through the void and slashing towards Lin Xian. The others also used their ultimate techniques, and terrifying energy rushed towards Lin Xian. Good timing. Lin Xian laughed. I haven't used my full strength in a long time. Today I'll show you my true strength. Lin Xian's body emitted a bright light, and the dragon sword realm instantly enveloped the entire valley. Kill! He roared and waved his sword. Suddenly, a black sword light descended from the sky like the Styx River. Poof! The terrifying energy directly split a ball of energy, causing it to dissipate into spiritual energy. On the other side, Lin Xian clapped his hand, and the 1,000-beast cauldron appeared above him. A terrifying black light swept out like a tide. It was deafening, as if thousands of soldiers and horses were galloping in the air. Boom! 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 The 5 elements fist was broken. Layers of dragon shadows. Lin Xian held the sword in his right hand and punched out with his left. Countless black fist shadows intertwined in the air, forming numerous black dragons that blotted out the sky. The 4 immemorial demonic elephants collided with each other at high speed, as the terrifying dragon soared through the sky. Pung pung pung. In an instant, the 6 figures were blasted back again. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was like a demon god. He stood in place, his cold gaze sweeping the surroundings. This is your power? You're just so domineering. Too domineering. Only a few people were capable of repelling 6 experts by himself. At this moment, Lin Xian was like a god of war, domineering to the extreme. Damn it, why is he so strong? Ouyang Fengdu and the other 5 had ugly looks on their faces. Originally, they had thought that the 6 of them would be able to easily kill the other party. However, he didn't expect that in just over 10 days, the other party's cultivation and strength would undergo another earth-shattering change. That kind of breakthrough was even more powerful than theirs. Even now, the 6 of them couldn't take him down even if they worked together. However, the 6 of them wouldn't give up just like that. This time, they came to kill Lin Xian. Moreover, the 6 of them still had their biggest trump cards that they hadn't used yet. The next moment, Ouyang Fengdu snorted. Kid, don't be too arrogant. Although you're very strong and beyond our expectations, do you think you can avoid being killed like this? You're too naive. No matter what tricks you have, today is the day you die. Li Wei sneered. What? What other tricks do you have? Bring them all out. I'll let you know that all tricks are futile in front of me. Lin Xian pointed his sword forward. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Ouyang Fengdu snorted. Then, the 6 of them looked at each other and nodded heavily. The 6 of them snorted coldly. Light erupted from their bodies, and the spiritual power in their bodies surged. Then, a silver mark appeared between their eyebrows. The light shone, and it was extremely strange. Silver runes quickly crawled out from the mark and covered the 6 of them in an instant. The next moment, the 6 of them shone with silver light, and their aura suddenly skyrocketed. The terrifying energy formed a huge storm that enveloped the entire valley. Even the surrounding martial artists who were spectating the battle felt their bodies hurt from the force of the energy storm. What? They're still hiding their strength. What's going on? This aura is too terrifying. What's that silver rune mark? Everyone was shocked and couldn't believe it. If 1 or 2 of them had hidden their strength, they could still believe it. However, the 6 of them had hidden their strength together, and they had hidden a lot of it. This was definitely not something that an ordinary person could do. There must be a secret on the 6 of them. Furthermore, that silver rune imprint was truly too strange, causing them to feel a sense of trepidation. Lin Xian was also very surprised. He didn't expect the 6 of them to be able to increase their strength by so much at the same time. It was too surprising. Silver runes? They must have obtained some kind of mysterious energy. I wonder if it's man-made or something else. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. The resurrection of the 6 of them was already too surprising. He didn't expect them to be so powerful. It seemed that they must have had an unknown adventure. Ouyang Feng and the other 5, their bodies shone with silver light. They felt that they had powerful strength and suddenly laughed. Haha kid, you're dead this time. I think the 6 of us don't need to attack together. One of us can kill him. After obtaining the energy of the silver rune, the 6 of them became arrogant again. Among them, Li Wei took a step forward. Kid, let me blow your head off with 1 punch. 5 form fist. The golden fist turned into a wave and rushed forward quickly. This energy was more than twice as strong as before. Pung. Suddenly, the sword light that filled the sky was blasted back by this punch. Even the sword chi dimmed a lot. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were shocked. It seemed that the silver rune mark was really mysterious. It could increase a warrior's energy by so much. After Li Wei succeeded in his punch, he also laughed to the sky. That was because he felt that he alone would be able to kill Lin Xian. Kid, did you see that? This is my strength. Die obediently. Li Wei was like a god of war, looking down at Lin Xian. On the other side, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. His opponent's strength had indeed increased. He could even compete with him. However, he could only contend against him. It was impossible for him to defeat him. Because before he didn't use all of his strength. I don't know what kind of adventure you had, and I don't know what your silver rune mark is. But if you want to defeat me with this little power, it's undoubtedly a fool's dream. Lin Xian said coldly. A fool's dream? It seems that you're still naive. Chapter 1763. Ouyang Feng and the rest did not make a move, because they also felt that Li Wei could defeat Lin Xian after activating the power of the runes. In the sky, Li Wei swung his 5 elemental fists. Seawater surged on one side, and flames surged on the other. The 2 opposite energies collided in the air, forming a terrifying light that quickly shrouded Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted and waved the 9 darkness demonic sword in his hand. It was like a black lightning bolt. Buzz! In the next moment, the sword radiance turned into 2 black dragons that intertwined with each other. The terrifying sword aura soared into the sky and instantly split the energy in the sky. Azure Dragon Break. In the sky, the terrifying sea of flames and the sky were split open by the sword, creating a vacuum. Not only that, a sword radiance soared into the sky like a black dragon and charged towards Li Wei. What? He's still hiding his strength. Li Wei's pupils constricted when he saw that. He was not a fool, and could naturally see that his opponent had become stronger. Thinking of that, his scalp went numb. He swung his 5 elemental fists while retreating quickly. He wanted to avoid the shocking sword. Behind him, Ouyang Feng and the rest were also shocked. 1 or 2 of them even made a move. They had just gained the upper hand, and could not be suppressed by Lin Xian again. However, the sword was too fast. It was like a flash of lightning, and instantly pierced Li Wei's body. Poof! Li Wei was directly pierced by the sword aura and nailed to the ground. Buzz! The sword aura turned into a black dragon and enveloped Li Wei, destroying his vitality. What? He was killed. Seeing that, everyone widened their eyes. Ouyang Feng and the rest were in disbelief. Li Wei was killed. What a joke! They did not dare to believe it. Li Wei's strength was in the top 3 among them. At that moment, he had activated the power of the silver runes, which was extremely terrifying. In fact, there were very few people among the younger generation in this primitive forest who could compete with Li Wei. Even so, he was still killed by his opponent. Damn it, this kid is too strange. Hurry up and kill him. There could not be any more accidents. Ouyang Feng roared angrily. He had a bad feeling, so he ordered the other 4 to attack with all their might. In the next moment they moved. Silver light flickered on each of their bodies. Like 5 silver flashes, they quickly pounced forward. 6 God's sword art. Lin Xian also shouted. With a wave of his arm, 4 sword god phantoms appeared in his dragon sword spirit domain. Every one of them was extremely sharp and terrifying, as if they were real gods of death. Kill! In the next moment, Lin Xian led the 4 sword phantoms and quickly charged forward. Pung pung pung. Not only that, but Lin Xian's dragon sword domain also emitted a series of dragon roars. A great battle erupted, and it was abnormally intense. However, it didn't take long for those black-clothed men to be pierced through by the sword shadows and nailed to the ground. The only one who was still alive was Ouyang Feng. However, at this moment, his face was also filled with madness. He simply could not accept this reality. How could this be? How could the other party be so strong? He had single-handedly killed 5 of his comrades. One had to know that his comrades all had the silver mark given to them by their master. That energy was enough to make them laugh at their peers. Now the 6 of them joined forces, and still couldn't defeat the other party. Damn it, even if all those people are killed, I can still kill you alone. Ouyang Feng roared angrily, and the silver light on his body shone even more brightly. The silver mark between his brows flickered with incomparable light. An extremely terrifying aura emanated from his body. However, Lin Xian on the other side also frowned. It had to be said that this Ouyang Feng was stronger than the other 5. However, no matter how strong he was, he had to kill the other party today. Therefore, in the next moment, he waved the demonic sword in his hand and slashed out waves of shocking sword chi. Boom! The demonic sword streaked across the sky like a black river, surging over. With a sharp aura, it directly cut open the sky. However, at this moment, the aura emitted from Ouyang Feng's body became even stronger. On his body, the silver light was like lightning, and even the scales of a demonic beast flickered. His body, which was originally more than 3 meters tall, quickly became 7 to 8 meters tall. His limbs were thick, like a human-shaped demonic beast. Whoosh! Ouyang Feng's body swayed slightly, and like a silver bolt of lightning, he instantly dodged the terrifying sword chi. On his body, the silver light was like a silver flame, burning fiercely, causing his strength to increase by several times. It had to be said that this silver mark was too mysterious. It could actually increase a martial artist's strength by so much. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were also extremely shocked. Especially the martial artists from the 4 symbols sacred grounds. Their pupils constricted. This was because the current Ouyang Feng, other than not having the primordial demon elephant's nose, was like a primordial demon elephant. His 4 huge feet could crush mountains and rivers, and his eyes were red like a wild beast. His body was covered with silver scales, and he was completely a standing primordial demon elephant. Kid, the origin of this silver mark is extraordinary. It's definitely not something you can imagine. And my current strength is also not something you can imagine. Therefore, in this battle, you will definitely be killed by me. Say these words after you succeed. Lin Xian snorted coldly and waved the 9 underworld demonic sword in his hand again. The sword chi filled the sky, and it was extremely sharp as it slashed directly at Ouyang Feng. Ouyang Feng roared. He was like a wild beast, and he did not dodge at all. Instead, he raised his fist to meet the attack. At this moment, his fist was like a silver mountain, and it was extremely dazzling. Clang! The silver fist and the black demonic sword collided, causing an earth-shattering collision. The explosion turned into an energy storm that swept out in all directions. Lin Xian frowned. Ouyang Feng's strength had indeed increased, and he was almost on par with him. Moreover, Ouyang Feng's body was so strong that it could contend with his demonic sword. It was indeed shocking. Haha, kid, stop struggling. My current strength is already getting stronger. It won't be long before I tear you to pieces. However, Lin Xian snorted coldly. It's just an external force. It's not my own, and I can't unleash its full power. Today, I'll let you know what it means to truly defy the heavens. Lin Xian turned into a bolt of black lightning and quickly rushed forward. The 9 underworld demonic sword in his hand turned into a black dragon that kept roaring. The sword chi was too terrifying. It could devour the heavens and split the earth, as if nothing in the world could stop it. In an instant it was in front of Ouyang Feng. The terrifying black sword chi quickly descended. Clang! 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 Ouyang Feng roared again and again, waving his silver palms and quickly resisting. Chapter 1764. The silver light collided with the sword light in the sky, producing a clanging sound. The energy was too terrifying. It was like 2 volcanoes erupting at the same time, blowing up the entire void. The ground sank and the entire valley collapsed. Black holes appeared one after another. Ah! Roar! Ouyang Feng roared crazily. Silver runes shone all over his body, and his eyes were bloodshot. At that moment, he seemed to have lost his mind and pounced forward like a mad beast. It's not my own power. You can't do it. Lin Xian's gaze was firm. The sword chi on his body was like a rainbow. The great dragon sword soul revolved quickly, and a terrifying power swept out in all directions. Boom! There was another fierce collision, followed by blood splattering everywhere. This time, Ouyang Feng could not take it anymore. His silver light was cut open and countless cracks appeared on his palm. Not only that, but his body was also sent flying, causing the ground to crack. Buzz! Lin Xian quickly caught up with him like a shadow. The demonic sword in his hand emitted a black light like a black sun and slashed down. The sword was so powerful that even the eyelids of the elders in the distance twitched. Ouyang Feng's body was also cut in half by the sword. The silver light in the sky disappeared and blood stained the ground. The entire valley was silent. The 6 members of the Dark Coalition were all killed. Lin Xian held the killing sword in his hand and looked like a sword demon. After a moment of silence, the surrounding cultivators let out a series of exclamations. They could not believe that the final winner was Lin Xian. One should know that the 6 members of the Dark Coalition were all very powerful. At that moment, they were all killed by a single person. It could be said that it was a feat that defied the natural order. At that moment, many people looked at Lin Xian with fear in their eyes. As for the people that held grudges against Lin Xian, their expressions grew even more gloomy as they frowned. They knew that Lin Xian was definitely a powerful enemy. He would probably be their nightmare in the future. Those who did not have a grudge against Lin Xian and yearned for power were extremely excited. Their eyes were red. They felt their blood boiling and wanted to roar at the sky. It was as if he was fighting alongside Lin Xian. That was because this kind of hot-blooded battle scene had really infected them. There were even many people who wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to kill Lin Xian. Because of the previous battle, they knew that Lin Xian must have expended a lot of energy and might even have suffered serious internal injuries. Therefore, this was the best opportunity. However, Lin Xian didn't give them a chance. After killing Ouyang Feng, he left the valley at lightning speed. The previous battle had indeed consumed a lot of his spiritual energy, so he didn't want to give those people a chance to attack. Seeing Lin Xian dashing towards the outside of the valley, the figures on the surrounding mountain peaks charged towards him like ghosts. These people weren't of the younger generation, but rather middle-aged or elders. They were the experts of top powers who were taking action. They wanted to clear the obstacles for their sect's genius disciples. Because Lin Xian was undoubtedly a powerful enemy, but soon, they returned with dark faces. That was because Lin Xian was too fast and they couldn't catch up. There were also shouts from those who wanted to form an alliance with Lin Xian, or invite Lin Xian to join them. But there was no response. Lin Xian was like a ghost as he left the valley and shuttled through the forest. But soon he stopped and even frowned. That was because there was a figure in front of him blocking his path. Lu Mingyue. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He didn't expect Lu Mingyue to be the one blocking him. She was able to keep up with his speed and even predict his escape route. He had to admit that she was definitely a terrifying woman. That's right. It was Lu Mingyue standing in front of him. She was like a fairy, but there was a trace of coldness on her beautiful face. Lu Mingyue didn't say anything, but her eyes shone brightly and streaks of chaotic energy appeared on her body. Buzz! In the next moment, 2 streaks of chaotic light burst out from her eyes. They were like sharp swords that pierced through the void. Humph! Lin Xian coldly snorted. Since his opponent dared to compete with his soul power, he naturally wouldn't be afraid. So in the next moment his eyes also flickered. 2 streaks of golden light turned into golden swords that collided with his opponent's chaotic light. Boom! The 2 soul powers collided. Then a terrifying explosion of energy swept out in all directions. A small crack appeared in the void, and the surrounding forest was cut in half. This kind of attack was too terrifying and dangerous. The slightest bit of carelessness could cause a cultivator to suffer serious injuries. After the first exchange, the 2 of them didn't attack again. Lin Xian was greatly astonished. His opponent's soul power was actually so powerful that she could contend against him. It had to be said that it was really too shocking. Lu Mingyue was also extremely astonished. She didn't expect Lin Xian's soul power to be so powerful. Furthermore, after such an intense battle, he was still able to contend against her attack. It seemed that he was truly extraordinary. He was an exceptional enemy. So in the next moment she said in a deep voice, "Don't worry. Don't worry, I won't attack you right now. However, you've still killed the cultivators of my all beginnings holy land. It's impossible for you to continue living like this. In the next 7 days, my organization and I will attack you. If you can contend against us, then this grudge will be settled. If you can't, then I'll have avenged my fellow disciples." After saying that, Lu Mingyue didn't wait for Lin Xian's reply. She turned into a streak of chaotic light and left the forest. Revenge? All beginnings holy land. Lin Xian coldly snorted. His eyes flickered. Sure enough, his opponent still wanted to attack him. However, he wasn't afraid. He wanted to see what kind of methods this outstanding disciple of the all beginnings holy land had. If she was too weak, he wouldn't mind sending her on her way. Not long after Lu Mingyue left, Lin Xian also quickly moved. He returned to that safe place and started to cultivate. He wanted to recover the energy had lost and the injuries had sustained. He even took out the 5-colored divine stone and started to rapidly absorb it. The 5-colored divine stone flickered with incomparably resplendent radiance. Tens of thousands of multicolored rays of light fell down and enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian also operated the immortality secret art and started to rapidly absorb the 5-colored divine stone. The surroundings were extremely quiet. There wasn't the slightest bit of sound. Suddenly Lin Xian's heart jumped. He discovered that he seemed to have entered the world within his body. The 5-colored divine stone outside had actually followed him in. Chapter 1765. In the next moment, he opened his eyes with difficulty and realized that he was still in the outside world. The scene from before was like a dream. The 5-colored divine stone was still floating in front of him. Was it really an illusion? Lin Xian was puzzled. He stood up and realized that the exhausted energy and injuries on his body had all healed. Lin Xian could not understand. He knew that the world in his body was very magical, and the 5-colored divine stone was even more so. Could the two be related? After studying it for a while, he still could not figure it out. Therefore, he did not bother about it anymore. Now that his injuries were healed, he wanted to continue heading deeper into the forest, because he wanted to see how vast this forest was. On the other hand, Lu Mingyue returned and began to contact her Bright Moon organization to prepare to hunt down Lin Xian. There were only 7 days. She had to kill him within these few days. Otherwise, it would be too troublesome for him to recover completely. Lu Mingyu's plan was very good, but she did not know that Lin Xian had already recovered completely. According to Lu Mingyu's original plan, Lin Xian could not have recovered so quickly. This was because this place was very strange. Warriors could only absorb energy through elixirs and subdivine crystals. It was very difficult to absorb energy from the outside world. Not to mention possessing such a magical item, like the 5-colored divine stone. Therefore, it would take at least 3 to 4 days to fully recover from such an intense battle. And during this period of time, it was absolutely fatal for a martial artist. Unfortunately, Lin Xian had the longevity secret and could absorb the surrounding spiritual energy. Moreover, he had the 5-colored divine stone. This allowed him to fully recover in less than half a day. Therefore, when Lu Mingyue led her people to Lin Xian's lair, they realized that he had already left. Damn it, he actually ran away. Search, we must catch him. Lu Mingyue snorted and gave the order. On Lin Xian's side, he completely ignored the pursuit. Ling Xian, the dark red dragon, and the snow-white monkey advanced into the depths of the primeval forest. Along the way, they were very careful, avoiding the powerful monster kings, and kept moving. Finally, they gradually approached the depths of the primeval forest. Looking into the distance, the terrifying aura in the surroundings was getting denser and denser, and the surrounding trees were also getting bigger and more luxuriant. In fact, some of the trees were as big as a mountain. They were so huge that it was hard to believe. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed, but Lin Xian still hadn't arrived. However, the environment here was even more spectacular than the outside. It was as if they had returned to the ancient times. In front of them was a continuous mountain range. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon sped up and prepared to cross the mountain range. They did the same. However, when they crossed the mountain range, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon were stunned, because the scene behind the mountain range was completely different from what they had imagined. They thought that there was a vast forest behind the mountain range. However, the reality was not like that. What lay ahead was a vast expanse of white bones. Big and small, grotesquely shaped, they covered the ground. From afar, it looked like a white wave. Their surroundings were also quiet, without the slightest sound. This was because aside from Lin Xian's group of 3, there were no other living creatures in this place. What was going on? Where did the bones come from? Lin Xian was shocked. What had happened here in the past? He was simply too shocked. Previously, in the primeval forest, he had seen many corpses and bones. However, the number of corpses there could not be compared to here. In front of them was a sea of bones. It was incomparably terrifying, and one could not see the end of it. This was definitely not caused by an ordinary battle between monsters. The dark red divine dragon's expression was also solemn as it said in a deep voice, "Kid, this should be an ancient battlefield." Ancient battlefield? Lin Xian was shocked. However, the dark red divine dragon nodded heavily. That's right, an ancient battlefield. There must have been an earth-shattering battle here. But what kind of battle was it? I don't know. However, it might have something to do with the seal of the oblique moon mystic world. Hearing this, Lin Xian fell silent. He knew that the sea of bones in front of him might hide a huge secret. Although the scene ahead was terrifying, Lin Xian still decided to take a look. He carefully stepped forward and walked forward. In front of him was a vast expanse of white. Those bones had been asleep for who knew how long, and at this moment, there was still a terrifying murderous aura on them. This aura was very terrifying. Ordinary kings would not dare to go forward at all. However, Lin Xian was different. The sword chi formed by the great dragon sword soul circled around his body, completely isolating the terrifying aura. Just like that, Lin Xian walked forward. Buzz! Suddenly, the white bone on his left exploded, and a terrifying figure charged towards him. Who is it? Lin Xian's scalp went numb as he suddenly shouted. At the same time, he quickly retreated. He did not expect that there would be someone here. Moreover, someone who could attack him. Could it be someone from the ancient era? Lin Xian did not know, but he did not dare to be careless. Not only that, he also saw the other party. It was a middle-aged man who looked very dignified. His body was surrounded by divine light, as if he was a god of war. A terrifying fist blasted towards him. Not good. This aura is at the almighty level. Lin Xian's pupils constricted as he used the heavenly dragon's 8 steps to dodge to the limit. However, he realized that he could not dodge at all. The fist was too fast. It arrived in front of him in an instant, and blasted towards him. Damn it! Lin Xian shouted coldly. In the next moment, he waved his arm and countless sword chi formed an azure dragon divine shield in front of him, blocking the shocking blow. Poof! In the next moment, the terrifying fist blasted on the azure dragon divine shield, and strangely passed through it. Not only that, the fist quickly blasted towards his body. What? Lin Xian's scalp went numb when he saw this scene. This was too strange. However, in the next moment he was stunned. That was because he discovered that when the terrifying fist collided with his body, it actually passed right through him, without causing him any harm. What's going on? Lin Xian did not understand why he was not hurt. However, in the next moment he frowned again. Behind him, the pile of white bones suddenly exploded. A white figure was like a shocking rainbow that quickly charged towards him. It was a woman with a beautiful face. She was dressed in white, and held a blue killing sword in her hand. She was like a flying immortal, as she quickly stabbed towards Lin Xian. This sword was very terrifying. It was far beyond any sword technique Lin Xian had ever seen. Therefore, in an instant it stabbed his body. However, something strange happened again. The long sword seemed to be transparent, and did not cause any damage to him at all. What's going on? Lin Xian was stunned. However, in the next moment he snorted coldly. Golden light shone in his eyes, accompanied by mysterious Dao patterns. Chapter 1766. At that moment, Lin Xian activated a pair of golden eyes and looked around. Soon, he was stunned because he realized that the otherworldly flying immortal behind him, and the domineering middle-aged man in front of him were all illusions. They were illusions that did not exist and were long dead. What a terrifying place. It can actually make me hallucinate without me knowing. Lin Xian's forehead was dripping with cold sweat. If he did not have the heavenly secret divine eyes, he would not have been able to discover the abnormality here. One had to know that this was just too unbelievable. His soul power was extremely powerful, and very few people in the younger generation could contend with it. His soul power could even contend with mighty figures. But here he was still affected by the illusion. One could imagine that if other kings were here, they would probably collapse. As expected of the ancient battlefield, it's really terrifying. Lin Xian was shocked. At that moment, the Crimson Divine Forest also transmitted a voice. Kid, be careful. The resentment here is very strong. I'm afraid even mighty figures will be affected here. Hearing that, Lin Xian nodded, and continued to use the heavenly secret divine eyes. The faint golden light swept around, and the illusory figures were destroyed. Lin Xian stepped on countless bones, as if he was climbing a mountain, and walked forward. In front of him, there was a huge black sword that covered the sky and pierced the clouds. Although the sword was carved from stone, it still exuded a terrifying aura. Lin Xian faced it like an ant facing a dragon. What is this? It can emit such a terrifying aura. Lin Xian looked at the huge sword in front of him with a shocked expression. I'm not willing to accept this. Suddenly, an earth-shattering sound entered Lin Xian's mind. Hearing this sound, Lin Xian's scalp went numb, and his hair stood on end. A golden light bloomed in his eyes. Who is it? Get out here. It's too scary. Could it be another illusion? But that should not be the case. He had already activated the heavenly secret divine eyes. Logically speaking, no illusion could fool him. But what was with the voice in his mind? After looking around, he did not find anything out of the ordinary. Thus, his gaze once again locked onto the enormous black sword in front of him. I can't accept this. Sure enough, it didn't take long for Lin Xian to hear such a voice in his mind. Could it be that the voice was coming from the piercing heaven divine sword? Lin Xian was shocked, and his scalp went numb. What was going on with this gigantic black sword? Who put it here? What was the point? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He couldn't figure it out. Therefore, When he asked the dark red divine dragon and He too, both of them shook their heads. It couldn't be helped. They might know a thing or two about the outside world. However, the tilted moon mysterious world had been sealed a long time ago. They had no idea what had happened here. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. He felt that the huge black sword in front of him must have some kind of secret. Therefore, he walked forward and took a closer look. Perhaps he could discover something. The gigantic black sword was incomparably tall. Ancient patterns were engraved on it, and it exuded a prehistoric aura. That was all that Lin Xian could see. Upon closer inspection, the black sword was surrounded by a black mist that blocked Lin Xian's vision. Even with the heavenly secret god eyes, he couldn't see through it. Perhaps it was because it was too far away. Or perhaps it was because Lin Xian's heavenly secret god eyes was not fully cultivated. Or perhaps it was because the gigantic sword was too mysterious. Regardless of the reason, most of the gigantic sword was shrouded in black mist, making it seem even more mysterious. Lin Xian walked forward again, wanting to take a closer look. He even wanted to feel the gigantic sword. However, he soon frowned because he realized that he couldn't rely on the gigantic sword. In the area 10 miles around the heavenly colossal sword, a terrifying spatial domain was formed, preventing anyone from entering. Furthermore, the black mist in front of him surged, forming a terrifying black space. Lin Xian waved his hand, and the countless white bones around him rose into the air and flew forward. As soon as they entered the black space, they seemed to be blasted into nothingness by a powerful force. Nothing was left behind. What a terrifying black space. Lin Xian was shocked when he saw this. These white bones had existed for countless years without being destroyed. However, they were instantly blasted into nothingness by the black space in front of him. This power was simply too terrifying. Therefore, Lin Xian didn't dare to act rashly. He could only walk slowly around the edge of the black space, because he wanted to see what was behind the gigantic sword. Perhaps he could discover something. Therefore, Lin Xian moved again. However, when he told him to go around the gigantic sword, Lin Xian was extremely surprised. That was because he saw a figure standing there. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. As the gigantic sword was huge and surrounded by a special black domain, Lin Xian couldn't see the other side at all. But now, when he circled around, he found that there was a figure standing on the other side of the giant sword. Just like him, the figure was staring at the gigantic sword intently. However, in the next moment, the figure in front of him suddenly turned around and stared at Lin Xian. From the looks of it, the figure didn't expect anyone to come here. Buzz! In the next moment, the figure attacked. Originally, Lin Xian was stunned when he saw the figure. He even suspected that he was hallucinating. However, when the figure attacked, he immediately reacted. This was definitely not a hallucination. It was different from the previous attack. This was an extremely terrifying killing move that could take his life. Therefore, Lin Xian didn't hesitate at all. He stomped his foot and quickly moved to the side. However, at this moment, another terrifying attack appeared behind him. It was a crescent-shaped sword ray. It was extremely sharp and easily cut the void in half. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. He didn't expect there to be an attack behind him. It was too shocking. Therefore, in the next moment, he used the heavenly dragon's 8 steps. His speed was extremely fast. He turned into an afterimage on the spot and instantly dodged. The crescent-shaped sword chi cut Lin Xian's afterimage apart and quickly disappeared. Lin Xian had already appeared on the other side. Not only that, but sword chi surrounded his body. His gaze was extremely sharp as he stared straight ahead. That was because he realized that the other party was an extremely terrifying person. He had never met such a person before. In front, the figure also turned around with a trace of surprise in his eyes. Chapter 1767. The figure in front also turned around with a trace of surprise in his eyes. He didn't expect the other party to be able to dodge his attack. One had to know that his attack was extremely terrifying. Very few people of the same level could contend with it. Even the older generation experts couldn't escape from his hands. But now there was someone who could easily dodge his attack. He was simply too shocked. That person was surprised, and so was Lin Xian, because now he could see the other party clearly. The other party was only a young man in his 20s. He was wearing a black robe and had an ordinary face. However, his aura was extremely extraordinary. You're very skilled to be able to dodge my attack. It's indeed rare. The young man said calmly. Who are you? Lin Xian asked in a deep voice. Although the other party wasn't as dazzling as the Alcate Sage or Yi Wudao, Lin Xian instinctively knew that the other party was definitely not simple. Who are you? Before you ask your opponent, shouldn't you introduce yourself first? The black-robed young man said calmly. I'm Longxian, a rogue cultivator. Lin Xian revealed his current identity. Longxian? A rogue cultivator? I don't think so. Could it be that you're Lin Xian, the one wanted by the Alcate Sacred Land recently? The black-robed young man revealed Lin Xian's identity. Hearing this, Lin Xian's face immediately darkened. There was even killing intent in his eyes. He didn't expect the other party to be able to see through his identity so easily. It really surprised him. Who are you? This time Lin Xian's voice was much colder. He had no choice. He couldn't reveal his identity now. Otherwise, it would cause an unprovoked massacre. Therefore, he couldn't allow his identity to be exposed. Don't be nervous. Whether you're Lin Xian or not doesn't have much to do with me. I'm just guessing. Don't tell me you want to kill me? The young man said calmly. As for who I am, when you beat me, I'll naturally tell you. Otherwise, you have no right to know my name. Only by defeating him would one be qualified to know his name. Such words were simply too arrogant. These words did not match the temperament of the black-clothed youth. However, Lin Xian felt that it was only natural, because he could feel how powerful the other party was. Sure enough, in the next moment, the other party attacked again. The black-robed young man's body emitted a dazzling light. However, Lin Xian's pupils abruptly shrank. That was because dozens of attacks had suddenly appeared in front of him, less than a meter away. This kind of attack speed was too terrifying. He had never seen anything like it before. If it was an ordinary person, they probably wouldn't have been able to dodge at all, and would have been killed directly. Fortunately, Lin Xian executed Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps. His entire body transformed into a stream of light, as he instantly left his original location. Boom! Boom! A spatial crack appeared where he had been standing. What incredible speed! Lin Xian was shocked. He hadn't noticed it the last time. But now that he was exchanging blows with his opponent, he felt that his opponent's attacks were too strange. With such a long spatial distance, his opponent was able to attack him in an instant. That was unbelievable. It was as if his opponent could ignore space. He can still dodge it. Not bad. Interesting. The black-clothed youth nodded slightly. Then, he waved his palm, and the sky was filled with rays of light that instantly attacked Lin Xian again. These rays of light were initially around the black-clothed youth, but in an instant, they were near Lin Xian. They appeared from all directions and stabbed at Lin Xian's vital points. Lin Xian kept dodging, narrowly avoiding these attacks. However, his face became gloomier because he realized that this was not the way to go. That was because no matter how fast he was, or where he appeared, there would always be terrifying attacks by his side. That made it impossible for him to shake off his opponent. Therefore, in the next moment he stopped dodging and stopped moving. A sharp light quickly appeared on his body. Sky-shaking sword. A terrifying sword light tore through the sky and slashed in all directions. At that moment, the entire space turned into a sea of sword principles. Countless sword chi surged and roared. However, the black-clothed youth did not move at all. When the sword chi got close, the black-clothed youth waved his hand, and the sword chi was inexplicably transferred to other places, and fell with a loud bang. However, the black-clothed youth was not injured at all. Lin Xian was astonished. Such a defensive technique was simply too bizarre. To be able to divert his sword chi so easily, one had to admit that it was extremely shocking. Space ability. Lin Xian frowned and his eyes flashed. He had experienced hundreds of battles, and could naturally see his opponent's ability in an instant. However, He did not expect his opponent to be able to use space ability. That was too unbelievable. There were thousands of paths. Warriors cultivated wind, thunder, water, fire, sabers, spears, staffs, and swords. Some could even control poison gas, and some could control plants. Of course, there were also people who could control space, even time. However, the latter two types of warriors were too rare. They were almost non-existent. Lin Xian had never thought that he would encounter a monarch who could control space. No wonder his opponent was so domineering and confident. That was because there was a rumor in the world that space was king and time was supreme. In other words, all methods were futile in front of a space warrior. Hearing Lin Xian's words, the black-clothed youth smiled. That's right. I am a space warrior. Your sword chi is very sharp. This kind of sword technique is rarely seen. However, it's a pity that you have no chance of winning in front of my space territory. Retreat. Leave this place and I won't kill you, the black-clothed youth said in a deep voice. Leave this place. Lin Xian frowned and shook his head slightly. In this world, no one can order me around. No one can make me do things that I don't want to do. The black-clothed youth's face turned cold. Since that was the case, don't blame me for being rude. As soon as he finished speaking, ripples appeared in the surrounding space. Like water ripples, they spread out in all directions. In the next moment, Lin Xian felt that the place he was in had changed. Although the environment did not change, Lin Xian could feel that he was enveloped by his opponent's space territory. Sure enough, the space around him quickly formed a vortex, as if it was going to tear his body apart. It really is the power of space. What a strange technique. Lin Xian used his power to resist the power of space. It had to be said that a space warrior was too terrifying. Just by using the power of space, he could easily tear his opponent apart. At this moment, Lin Xian also felt a great sense of danger. The terrifying power of space quickly enveloped him. Chapter 1768. The terrifying power of space quickly enveloped him. His body was about to be torn apart. Scram! Lin Xian shouted coldly. Light bloomed from his body, and the terrifying sword chi destroyed everything around him. This included the incomparably strange power of space. In an instant, the space around Lin Xian shattered like a mirror, and a pitch-black vortex appeared. As for him, he stood in the middle of the whirlpool like a demon god. Seeing this, the black-robed youth frowned. He did not expect his opponent to have such a move. He knew that his opponent's sword chi was fierce, but he did not expect it to be this fierce. It could even cut through his power of space. This was too shocking. It was not a joke to say that space was king. He had never been defeated since he was born. Even those of the older generation could not last more than a few moves against him before they were torn apart by the strange power of space. Other than the few saints from the eastern wilderness sacred grounds who could fight against him, no one else was a match for him. He did not expect this youth to be able to contend with him. This was beyond his expectations. Lin Xian, I will remember you. You are not bad. Although you are not a disciple of a top sect, your battle strength is already at the top of the younger generation. You are qualified to know my name. Remember, my name is Gu Santong. Gu Santong. Hearing this name, Lin Xian was shocked. He asked in a deep voice, You are a disciple of the Gu family, a family of the ancients? That's right. Gu Santong nodded slightly. Lin Xian's eyes flashed. No wonder his opponent was so powerful. He was a martial artist from a family of the ancients. He did not expect so many great forces to come to the Crescent mystic world. First, there was the genius of the Yi family, the All-Kate Saint, and the All Beginnings Holy Land. Now even the Gu family of the ancients had come. He wondered what other terrifying people were hiding in the dark. The Black Earth airship left, and the Dark Red Dragon said, Kid, be careful. The Gu family is a very powerful family. Moreover, the Gu family has produced a great emperor. Their strength and foundation are very strong. Moreover, the Gu clan's original unique skill was the void technique. Now that this young man is a space elemental king, his void technique must be even more terrifying. Void technique. Hearing this, Lin Xian was also extremely shocked. Although the clan of the ancients and the peerless sanctuary were the most powerful forces in the eastern wilderness. A family that had produced a great emperor was even more terrifying and powerful. And the young man before him was the descendant of the great emperor. This was probably the strongest opponent he had encountered so far. However, Lin Xian was not afraid at all. Instead, his blood was boiling. So what if the other party was a descendant of a great emperor? He had the great dragon sword spirit, and was the successor of the great dragon sword. One had to know that the first successor of the great dragon sword was also a great emperor. Therefore, he was not afraid of anyone. Come on. Let me see how strong a disciple of a remote antiquity family is, Lin Xian said in a deep voice. On the other side, Gu Santong's lips curled up. You will see. Then he waved his hand and a bright light burst out. Hand of the Void. A cold shout reverberated in all directions. Lin Xian shone brightly. Sword chi circled around his body as he prepared for the upcoming battle. But soon Lin Xian frowned. This was because he did not sense any attack. This made him extremely suspicious. Could it be that the other party was just bluffing? But in the next moment, a purple light palm suddenly appeared above his head and slammed down fiercely. Boom! With an earth-shattering sound, the place where Lin Xian was shattered by the purple palm. Boom! A terrifying energy burst out and swept out in all directions. The entire space was shattered. The purple light enveloped everything. It's over. On the other side, Gu Santong said in a deep voice. He was not surprised by this result. One had to know that the Gu clan's void technique was extremely powerful. No one could resist it. Moreover, he was a space element king who was proficient in space. It could be said that the void technique was even more terrifying in his hands. However, in the next moment, he frowned and his eyes flashed. Then his body completely merged into the void. Poof! A sword light pierced from behind, piercing through the void. However, it was still one step too late. Gu Santong's body had already disappeared. When the sword god's shadow disappeared, Gu Santong's body appeared once again. His expression was serious as he looked ahead. He was no longer as casual as before. Fortunately, he was proficient in space techniques. Otherwise, that attack would have killed him. Therefore, at this moment he looked ahead, his eyes flashing. The other party could still threaten him, after withstanding such a terrifying attack. He had to admit that he was very surprised. He even suspected that the other party had not been killed. As expected, the purple energy in front of him gradually disappeared. The shattered void also quickly healed. Then a figure appeared. Beside Lin Xian, the dragon sword territory flashed and formed a huge azure dragon divine shield, protecting his body. To be honest, the palm just now was too sudden. There was no warning, and it was very fast. In an instant, it had enveloped him. At this critical moment, he could only passively defend. In the end, he managed to resist the purple palm. However, the terrifying power of the palm also caused him to be injured. Lin Xian wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with his palm. His eyes flashed. As expected of a disciple of the Gu family, he was indeed strong. He could actually injure him in one move. He was too shocked. He had rarely been injured like this in previous battles. He did not expect the other party to injure him in the first move. The void technique combined with the space territory was indeed very powerful. Lin Xian was shocked. Opposite him, Gu Santong was even more shocked because he realized that the other party was indeed injured. However, it was not a fatal injury. This made him suspect that he had fallen into an illusion. One had to know that the purple palm could easily kill a 6-star king. Even the older generation experts would not be able to survive if they were hit by it. However, the other party only spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. His foundation was not damaged at all. This was not what he had expected. On the other side, Lin Xian pulled out the 9 darkness demonic sword and said coldly, "You are very strong. You are worthy of my full strength." With the demonic sword in hand, the dragon sword territory flashed. Lin Xian's aura continued to rise. It was as if a divine sword had been unsheathed. Kill! His entire body turned into a ray of light. His speed was extremely fast. In an instant he was in front of Gu Santong. It's useless. Gu Santong snorted. Using the void technique, his body completely merged into the void and disappeared. Puff! Lin Xian's sword stabbed empty air. However, he was not upset. Chapter 1769. Lin Xian's sword missed, but he was not upset. His expression was calm, and he was like the god of death looking around. He knew that no matter how strong his opponent was, he could not hide in the void forever. His opponent would definitely come out. Not long after, the void on the other side rippled, and Gu Santong's figure appeared. Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps. Lin Xian used his ultimate skill, and the gale boots on his feet shone brightly, increasing his speed beyond compare. Therefore, the moment Gu Santong's body appeared, Lin Xian was already beside him. The terrifying demonic sword flashed with sword chi, and it slashed down fiercely. What? So fast? Gu Santong was shocked. He did not expect his opponent to be so fast. He had just appeared, and his opponent was already here. He even suspected that his opponent was using spatial techniques. In the next moment, his figure flickered again, and he disappeared. However, the next time he appeared, he would be attacked by Lin Xian. Moreover, Lin Xian's speed was getting faster and faster, and even his black robe was being pierced by his opponent. Gu Santong was shocked. His opponent's speed was too fast. He had never seen such speed before. It was like teleportation. He knew that this could not go on. He had to attack, or he would be in danger. Gu Santong roared, and his eyes lit up. Thereafter, a series of horrifying attacks appeared out of nowhere around Lin Xian. These attacks were too strange and too fast. This was true teleportation. Seeing that the attacks were about to engulf him, Lin Xian shouted coldly. He waved his sword, and a pitch-black hole appeared in the void. That black hole was like an abyss beast, and it swallowed all the attacks. What? Spatial mystique. Seeing this, Gu Santong was shocked. But soon he shook his head in denial. Although the scene just now was very similar to his spatial ability, he could clearly sense that it wasn't a spatial ability. This guy broke the void directly. Gu Santong was extremely shocked. He realized that Lin Xian had used his superior battle prowess to shatter the void and forcefully destroy all the attacks. This was too shocking. One had to know that he could do this, because he was a spatial king and knew how to use space. As for the other party, he had directly shattered it with a tyrannical attitude. It had to be said that it was really too shocking. You're very strong. You're a genius of the younger generation. Gu Santong's expression was serious. But you are no match for me, because I didn't use my full strength earlier. If I go all out, I'm afraid you won't be able to block it. So for your safety, I advise you to leave this place. I don't want to kill anyone. Leave here? Impossible. If you want to fight, then let's fight. Cut the crap. Lin Xian's body glowed with light. Seeing Lin Xian's insistence, Gu Santong did not say anything else. In the next moment, his aura became even more terrifying, as if he had merged with the surrounding void. He was the ruler, and he could control this space. Boom! Gu Santong stretched out his palm and closed his fingers. Lin Xian's body stiffened. He felt that the space around him had solidified and was pressing down on him continuously, as if it was going to crush him into a bloody mist. Creak! Creak! Lin Xian's bones could not stop shaking. Open! Lin Xian snorted coldly. The great dragon sword soul in his body spun wildly. Terrifying sword chi surged out of his body and swept in all directions. At this moment, his body seemed to have turned into a peerless divine sword. It was extremely sharp. Lin Xian's body glowed with light. Suddenly, a powerful force appeared and shattered the surrounding space. Crack! 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 Countless cracks appeared under Lin Xian's feet and spread in all directions. It was as if this space could not withstand Lin Xian's power. What? He can still withstand it. On the opposite side, Gu Santong frowned, his expression extremely serious. His space shackle was one of his ultimate techniques. It was extremely terrifying. Even a 6-star king would be crushed into a bloody mist in an instant. There was no way for him to resist. However, his opponent was able to withstand it. Not only that, but he was also able to move. This was basically breaking his ultimate technique. Looks like I can only banish you. Gu Santong's expression was solemn as he said coldly. In the next moment, his eyes shone brightly as he waved his arms rapidly. Eternal banishment. Boom. The void split open and a black hole appeared, swallowing Lin Xian completely. In the next moment, the surrounding space shook rapidly like a picture scroll. Then it was as good as new. As for Lin Xian, he disappeared. Eternal exile. This was an extremely terrifying spatial absolute art. It could throw a martial artist into an ice-cold universe. It was equivalent to being banished and could never return. Although it did not kill the opponent immediately, it was equivalent to finishing off the opponent. Because no one who was banished for eternity could ever return. Eternal banishment. Lin Xian completely disappeared from this space. On the opposite side, Gu Santong heaved a sigh of relief. He had finally finished off a powerful opponent. This battle was extremely intense for him. Other than the saints of the sacred grounds, he rarely encountered such a powerful opponent. Sighing in relief, Gu Santong once again looked at the giant sword in front of him. In a flash, he was about to comprehend the energy on it. However, at this moment, he frowned and stared at the space behind him. It was peaceful there, but Gu Santong's eyebrows were twitching wildly, as if something was about to happen. Boom! As expected, in the next moment, there was an earth-shattering sound. The space behind him shattered, and a figure flew out quickly. Like a sharp sword, he appeared from the darkness. What? He's out! Seeing this, Gu Santong's pupils dilated in disbelief. That's right, the person who came out was Lin Xian. He flew out from the eternal banishment quickly. If someone was here and saw this scene, they would definitely cry out in shock. Because this was too unbelievable. To know that the eternal banishment was an extremely terrifying technique. No martial artist who was banished has ever returned. But now Lin Xian had actually broken this rule and directly killed his way back. One has to admit that this was too heaven-defying. Indeed, Gu Santong was also stunned. He did not expect his opponent to be so powerful that he could escape from the eternal banishment. You are very strong. I cannot defeat you for now. But you cannot defeat me either. Let's call this a draw, Gu Santong said in a low voice. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. Indeed, although he could escape from the eternal banishment, he was not confident that he could kill his opponent. Chapter 1770. Although Lin Xian could escape from eternal exile, he was not confident that he could kill his opponent. This was because his opponent's spatial mystique was too strange. It was almost undefeatable. Unless his dragon sword soul made another breakthrough and greatly increased his battle power, he would be able to cut open the entire space and make it impossible for his opponent to hide. As for now, he was not confident of winning at all. However, it seemed like his opponent was the same. He could only threaten him, but it was impossible for him to kill him. Both of them knew this, so they did not continue fighting. Instead, they gathered together to talk. Lin Xian asked his opponent about the situation here, and his opponent asked Lin Xian about the primeval forest. Because Gu Santong had always stayed near the giant sword and rarely went out, he did not know much about the outside world. Both of them took what they needed. After chatting for a while, they realized that their personalities were quite similar, and they became friends. Haha, was this what they meant by no discord, no concord? Gu Santong also laughed heartily. A person like Lin Xian was enough to threaten him, so it was better to be friends than enemies. Next, the two of them began to cultivate near the giant sword. According to Gu Santong, the giant sword had an extraordinary origin and had been around for a long time. During this time, he had even figured out two cultivation methods. The first was to absorb the black gas on the giant sword into the body. This could temper a martial artist's body. The second was to understand the Dao patterns on the giant sword. This could perfect one's martial mystique. With Gu Santong's reminder, Lin Xian also began to cultivate according to these two methods. As expected, after absorbing the black gas, Lin Xian could feel his body growing stronger. It was as if he had become a prized artifact, invincible. As for the Dao patterns on the giant sword, they were even more mysterious. It would take a lot of effort to understand them. In the end, even the dark red dragon came out. He also wanted to understand the Tao patterns. The two of them, and the dragon cultivated silently here. As for the little white monkey, it was playing in the sea of bones around it. After more than 10 days, other figures appeared nearby. These people all had powerful auras. They were obviously experts. When these people saw this scene, they were very serious at first. But slowly they got used to it. All of them wanted to explore the secrets of the ancient sword. After a few more days, more and more figures appeared. Some even began to set up camp near the Sea of Bones, preparing to study the sword for a long time. Lin Xian even saw some familiar faces. It seemed that most of the martial artists in the primeval forest had rushed here. Actually, it was normal. The sea outside the primeval forest was sealed, and they could not leave. Therefore, they could only explore the depths of the forest. Sooner or later, they would return to the vicinity of the giant sword. Those who arrived later naturally also saw Lin Xian. When they saw Lin Xian, they were all shocked and even had looks of disbelief on their faces. Did something happen? When Lin Xian saw the shocked expressions on their faces, he grabbed one of them and questioned him. A martial artist was pulled to Lin Xian's side. He was so scared that he almost wet himself, because he saw with his own eyes how Lin Xian killed Ouyang Feng and the other 5 experts. He had an instinctive fear of Lin Xian, but when he realized that Lin Xian was just asking about something, the martial artist heaved a sigh of relief. So he quickly told him what he knew. It turned out that the news of Lu Mingyue leading people to hunt down Lin Xian had spread. These people thought that Lin Xian had been killed, but they did not expect that he would appear near the sword. This really shocked and surprised them, because the Bright Moon organization that Lu Mingyue was in was a very powerful organization in the primeval forest. If they wanted to kill someone, no one would be able to escape. So it was about this. After Lin Xian heard this, he let him go. Then his eyes flickered. The other party really let people to hunt him down. But thinking about it, they should be crazy now. Because these days, he did not appear in the periphery of the forest. Instead, he cultivated here. How could the other party find him? However, this also made him fearful. From the looks of it, Lu Mingyue really did want to get rid of him. Just because he didn't appear on the street before didn't mean she wouldn't make a move now. Since he would have to fight sooner or later, he decided to take the initiative. Of course, he had to figure out the situation with Lu Mingyue and the others. So his body blurred and he flew around, because he saw a familiar figure. Leaf Daudinier. Yes, Leaf Daudinier was here. He was dressed in white, and looked handsome and spirited like a god of war. Even in a crowd he could be seen. Brother Leaf. Lin Xian came to his side. Should I call you Brother Long or Brother Lin? Leaf Daudinier asked with a smile. Brother Lin. You know, Lin Xian was shocked. He hadn't expected Leaf Daudinier to know who he was. Yes. Leaf Daudinier nodded. After you killed Ouyang Feng's group of 6, I guessed who you were. Indeed, he hadn't suspected anything before. But not long ago, Lin Xian's battle with Ouyang Feng's group had shocked him. The battle prowess Lin Xian had displayed was far too powerful. It didn't seem like something a rogue cultivator could possess. Combined with the latest news, Leaf Daudinier guessed that Long Xian was Lin Xian, the man wanted by the wavering light sacred land. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Since you've guessed who I am, are you going to make a move against me? Why would I make a move against you? Leaf Daudinier shook his head. First, given my status, I don't need to curry favor with the wavering light sacred land. Second, given my talent, I don't need to know about the Heaven's Legacy race. Therefore, I won't make a move against you. What a confident man. Lin Xian sighed in amazement. Leaf Daudinier and Gu Santong were both geniuses of the primordial aristocratic families. They were different from ordinary cultivators. They were extremely confident in themselves. Such people were extremely powerful and terrifying. Lin Xian smiled when he heard the other party's words. That's good. I don't want to lose a friend like you. Next, the two of them went to a quiet place and set up some wine and barbecued meat. You didn't appear for the past few days. I thought you were really dealt with by those people from the All Beginnings Holy Land. Leaf Daudinier picked up a cup of spirit wine and slowly said, No, I've been in the vicinity of the heaven-reaching sword for the past few days. But given Lu Mingyu's personality, she shouldn't have given up. Sooner or later, there will be a great battle between her and me, Lin Xian said in a deep voice. But from the looks of it, you don't seem worried at all, Leaf Daodinier said. I'm warning you that Lu Mingyue is extremely powerful. She's even stronger than Ouyang Feng. Chapter 1771. She really is a terrifying opponent. That's why I've decided to take the initiative. I can't be passive. Take the initiative? What are you planning to do? Leaf Daodinier was shocked. Isn't Lu Mingyue hunting me down? She must have brought quite a few elites with her. In that case, their Bright Moon organization's base will be very weak. If I attack their base at this time, they will be very weak. Leaf Daodinier raised an eyebrow. It seemed Lin Xian was serious this time. Indeed, at this time, the Bright Moon organization's base is very weak, but not everyone can compete with them. Are you confident? Of course. Lin Xian nodded. But I can't act rashly. Bright Moon and Yin Qing's Thornflower Alliance, and Sun Yang's Wind Follower, has a very good relationship with Bright Moon. Moreover, the distance between these organizations is also very close. Leaf Daodinier's eyes flashed. He sent people to investigate the situation, and it didn't take long for news to reach him. Yin Qing and Sun Yang had set off with Lu Mingyue as well. Humph. That woman actually brought so many experts to hunt me down. It seems she's really unscrupulous. Lin Xian sneered. In that case, there's no need for me to hold back. I'll uproot all of their organizations. Let's see if anyone dares to provoke me. Lin Xian bade farewell to Leaf Daodinier and left to make preparations. The night was gloomy, and the atmosphere was heavy. There was even an aura of death. At night, the Sea of Bones was even more terrifying. It was like hell itself, and emanated an aura that caused one to tremble. However, no one noticed that within the Sea of Bones, there was a figure that was moving rapidly like a ghost. It was naturally Lin Xian. He was so fast that ordinary kings wouldn't be able to detect him. Before long, he left the Sea of Bones and headed for the forest. The sky was dark, and the stars twinkled. Wild beasts would occasionally appear in the forest, but Lin Xian nimbly avoided them. With his powerful soul power and Tianji divine eyes, Lin Xian was like a fish in water, moving swiftly and fiercely in the darkness. Lin Xian finally arrived at the headquarters of the Bright Moon Alliance. Then he hugged his arms and a huge mountain peak appeared quickly. Then, it expanded rapidly like a real mountain and pressed forward. Boom! With a loud bang, the building in front of him was directly shattered. Blood flowed out from the cracks. This change directly alarmed many people. Instantly, many people rushed out. Who are you? How dare you attack the Bright Moon Alliance? Are you tired of living? These people were abnormally angry. They must be one of the top organizations in this primeval forest. Usually, no one dared to provoke them. But now, someone actually dared to attack them? This was intolerable to them. But in the next moment, when they saw Lin Xian, they were stunned. One by one they screamed, "Damn brat, it's actually you!" They naturally recognized Lin Xian, because their boss, Lu Mingyue, had led countless experts into the forest to hunt him down. But they did not expect him to come to their headquarters. Thinking of this, they felt a chill in their hearts. Seeing the surrounding martial artists, Lin Xian's eyes flickered, and he snorted coldly. These people were not very strong, so he directly handed them over to the dark red divine dragon. With the devil sword in his hand, he was like a god of slaughter as he moved swiftly through the area. He wanted to find the strongest person here and kill him directly to prevent the other party from escaping. The dark red divine dragon sneered and waved his dragon claws. Suddenly, a huge array enveloped the area. Then, he began to attack the martial artists of these organizations. The little white monkey was in charge of robbing their treasures. Lu Mingyue and the other experts were not here, so the Bright Moon Alliance was very weak at the moment. They could not resist the counterattack of Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon. Suddenly, screams sounded one after another. This change attracted the attention of the Windswept organization and the Thornflower organization. Soon, the two organizations sent martial artists over. When they saw the destroyed Bright Moon organization, They all sucked in a breath of cold air. Damn it, the Bright Moon Alliance was destroyed by someone. Who is it? How dare he be so bold? Does he not want to live anymore? Lu Mingyue was a genius of a generation and had countless elite experts under her. She was extremely powerful. Ordinary people did not dare to provoke her. But now, her Bright Moon Alliance was destroyed by someone? This was too bold. Lin Xian, on the other hand, held the killing sword in his hand as he leapt up from a mountain peak and landed on the ground, blocking these people. You want to attack me too? His voice was unusually cold. What? Damn brat, it's you! When the people of the Thornflower Alliance and the Windswept organization saw this scene, their faces turned ugly. They did not expect that it was Lin Xian who did it. This was too unbelievable. They had to spread the news and inform Yanqing and Lu Mingyue. Otherwise, the consequences would be terrible. Kill. Hurry up and escape. Spread the news. Angry roars rang out one after another. Then, these people moved and fled in all directions. But then, a flickering light array descended from the sky and sealed the entire space. At the same time, Lin Xian's cold voice sounded. If you want to kill me, you'll have to pay the price. Then, the light behind him shone, and the dragon sword realm instantly enveloped everyone. The shocking sword aura was like a long river, carrying a terrifying killing aura as it swept in all directions. When all the light disappeared, everyone fell to the ground, and their blood flowed like a river. This scene was extremely terrifying. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was untainted by even a speck of dust. His entire being was like a demon god, terrifying to the extreme. Let's go to the Thornflower Alliance. Lin Xian did not hesitate at this moment. He quickly moved and flew toward the Thornflower Alliance. The other party had joined forces with so many people to kill him. How could he show mercy? So at this moment, he turned into a killing god. Not long after, the Thornflower Alliance was destroyed. Then, Lin Xian went to the Windswept organization. Soon the Windswept organization also disappeared. Not a single person escaped. This battle naturally alarmed the other organizations. However, when they saw a tall figure like a killing god in the array, releasing shocking sword aura, they all retreated. They only dared to watch the battle from afar. They did not dare to go forward. That was because the aura was too shocking. It made them tremble. Moreover, from the other party's cultivation technique, they guessed that the person who attacked must be Lin Xian. Now Lin Xian was like a taboo in their eyes. No one dared to provoke him. Therefore, these people only dared to watch and did not dare to attack. Chapter 1772. The next day, after Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon left, these people sent warriors to investigate. However, the news they received made everyone suck in a breath of cold air. Bright Moon Organization, Thornflower Alliance, Wind Follower Organization. The three major organizations were all uprooted overnight. Shocking, it was too shocking. These three organizations were extremely terrifying. When they joined forces, they were invincible. Usually, no one dared to provoke them. They were a colossus. But now, it had been completely destroyed in a single night. It had to be said that this was absolutely shocking news. Lin Xian annihilated the three major organizations by himself. This news swept through the entire primeval forest like a gust of wind. A day later, Lu Mingyue, Yanqing, and the rest also knew. Then their faces were gloomy and ferocious. They could not wait to kill their way back. Damn it! That was too despicable. These experts were driven mad. They went out to hunt down Lin Xian, but they did not expect that their base would be uprooted. This was too shameful. At the thought of this, they were furious. Go back. I must kill him. Yanqing gritted his teeth in anger. Lu Mingyu's expression was also cold. She had underestimated him. She did not expect him to have such determination and strength. He actually dared to annihilate the alliance of the three major organizations. It seemed that he had to be eliminated this time. Otherwise, in the future, he would definitely be a huge disaster. On the other side, Sun Yang was also gritting his teeth. Other than them, the other experts also had gloomy expressions. This time they had lost a lot of face. They had probably become the laughingstock of the entire primeval forest. He had to kill Lin Xian if he wanted to wash away this humiliation. These people were all ferocious. Their expressions were cold and murderous. They quickly rushed back into the distance. When they saw that their nest had been destroyed beyond recognition, they all roared at the sky. A powerful aura swept out in all directions. Everyone's scalp went numb. They knew that these three organizations were really angry. They were probably going to pursue Lin Xian endlessly. Although it was shocking that Lin Xian had wiped out three major organizations in one night, Lin Xian didn't dare to underestimate Lin Xian. However, they knew that this was only possible when there were no elite experts around. Otherwise, Lin Xian wouldn't have been able to succeed so easily. Moreover, no one dared to look down on Lu Mingyue and the others now, because they were a top-notch organization. Very quickly, Lu Mingyue and the others found out that Lin Xian had actually appeared near the Bone Sea Divine Sword. Upon receiving this news, they immediately rushed forward with murderous intent. They had to get rid of the other party, or they wouldn't even be able to sleep well. Lu Mingyue, Yan Qing, and Sun Yang joined forces. He brought a large group of experts with him. With a murderous aura, he flew toward the heaven-reaching sword. When the surrounding martial artists heard this news, their scalps went numb. They set out as well. When the cultivators at the Bone Sea saw Lu Mingyue and the others, they exclaimed in surprise. They knew that there would be a great battle soon. Therefore, the other organizations and alliances all warned their subordinates to retreat quickly. At the very least, they had to return to a safe place and not get involved. For a time, the entire Bone Sea was filled with undercurrents. The atmosphere was tense to the extreme. Very soon, those people discovered Lin Xian. At this moment, Lin Xian was standing near the heaven-reaching sword. Sword light flashed all over his body, forming an inexplicable connection with the heaven-reaching sword in front of him. It was as if he was a sword god. This scene shocked everyone. They had long known that this heaven-reaching sword was incomparably mysterious and contained strange Tao patterns on it. If one could comprehend it thoroughly, it would absolutely bring great benefits to oneself. However, this Tao pattern was very mysterious. It was very difficult for ordinary people to comprehend it thoroughly. But looking at Lin Xian's appearance now, could it be that he had comprehended it thoroughly? Thinking of this situation, these people's scalps went numb. Moreover, those people who came to hunt him down had gloomy expressions. They knew that they had to make a move as soon as possible and absolutely could not give the other party a chance. Otherwise, if they allowed the other party's strength to increase again, they would probably all suffer a calamity. Damn thief, get over here and take care of me. You actually dared to destroy the three great alliances. Today, you will die without a doubt. Kid, if you obediently surrender without a fight, we might give you a quick death. Otherwise, today, you will suffer a fate worse than death. Cold and angry roars came one after another. These voices awakened Lin Xian from his cultivation comprehension. In the next moment, he silently turned around and swept his cold eyes around. Feeling this gaze, many people trembled, and their hearts turned cold. They realized that they actually did not dare to look Lin Xian in the eye. But soon, someone clamored again, because they had the numbers advantage. Not only that, but there were also a few elders and powerhouses who came this time. These people also had connections with the various major factions. They were even the elders of the same sect as Lu Mingyue and the others. These people were also worried that if Lin Xian continued to grow, he would become a scourge. Therefore, they decided to take advantage of this opportunity to eliminate him. Immediately, dozens of figures charged towards Lin Xian like lightning. Looking at this scene, Lin Xian did not move at all. However, the light on his body became even more resplendent. Soon, 6 sword shadows condensed behind him. One was as red as blood, while the other was as blue as water. One was as heavy as a mountain, while the other was as hot as fire. One was as sharp as gold, while the other was as black as ink. 6 God Sword Technique. Lin Xian's eyes turned. Suddenly, the 6 sword lights behind him quickly condensed and formed 6 shining divine swords that quickly slashed down. Boom! Boom! In the dazzling light, shocking sword lights swept in all directions. 6 huge sword chi directly drowned the area in front of them. Boom! The dozens of warriors who rushed over were instantly slashed into a bloody mist. Not only that, but the terrifying sword aura also spread out in all directions. What? They were killed in an instant. That kid's sword technique has become stronger again. Damn it, run. Those sword chi are too terrifying. Furious roars could be heard one after another. Following which, countless warriors fled frantically. They could not withstand the 6 terrifying sword chis at all. Lin Xian had his hands behind his back and looked down on everyone like a demon. Damn it, he's become stronger again. Opposite him, Lu Mingyue and the others' faces were gloomy. The surrounding elders and powerhouses' eyes flickered, and their hearts were filled with killing intent. Genius. Powerhouse. This was everyone's evaluation of Lin Xian. However, it was because of this that they urgently wanted to eliminate Lin Xian to prevent future trouble. Sun Yang was the first to attack. He waved his hand and a few warriors beside him immediately moved. Transparent wings appeared on their backs. At this moment, they were actually flying rapidly in the air. This scene was too shocking. One had to know that in this space, flying was already restricted. Others could not fly, but now these people could fly. Chapter 1773. This scene was too shocking. One had to know that in this space, flying was already restricted. Others couldn't fly, but these people could actually fly in the air. This was simply too shocking. Lin Xian was also shocked. He did not expect the other party to have such a technique. However, in the next moment he sneered. The people in the sky did not dare to get close at all. They directly attacked downwards from high up in the sky. Streaks of terrifying energy blasted downwards, intending to smash Lin Xian into pieces. Lin Xian, on the other hand, waved his hand and 6 terrifying sword auras surged behind him, forming a terrifying sharpness. It directly cut through all the attacks. Not only that, the sword chi almost hurt the few flying warriors in the sky. However, those warriors had wings like monsters behind their backs. At this moment, their movements were abnormally agile, and they quickly dodged the soaring sword chi. Haha, it's useless. In a situation where no one can fly, we have wings. We are invincible. In the sky, those kings dodged the attacks and sneered. Invincible? What idiots! Lin Xian's lips curled into a disdainful smile. Do you really think you can be so awesome just because you have wings? He snorted coldly. Then his body swayed, and he continuously stepped in the air. In the next moment, Lin Xian directly appeared in the sky. Boom! He stomped his foot and directly kicked a dancer. What? So fast? Seeing this scene, everyone's scalps went numb. As for those martial artists in the sky, they turned pale with fright. They did not expect the other party to appear in front of them in an instant. What kind of technique was that? They had never heard of it before? Hurry up and fly higher. We must not let this kid attack us. These people hurriedly flapped their wings and flew higher. Lin Xian, on the other hand, felt the power of laws rapidly surge towards him, forcing him to descend. Therefore, he did not continue to move forward. Instead, his body swayed and he returned to the ground. Seeing this scene, the kings in the sky heaved a sigh of relief, but Sun Yang and the others looked gloomy. The other party's speed was too shocking. This was not good news for them. Therefore, they decided to get rid of the other party as soon as possible to avoid any more complications. However, Lin Xian snorted coldly. Did he think that flying high was enough? Watch me destroy you. With that, he stretched out his palm and closed his fingers. Void Heaven Hand. Lin Xian coldly shouted, and the light on his body became even more resplendent. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked, thinking that the other party was going to use some kind of ultimate technique. But after waiting for a long time, he still didn't see Lin Xian use any attack. Ha 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 ha. I'm dying of laughter. Do you think you can scare us with your fierce words? You're really an idiot. We are not to be trifled with. In the sky, those kings with wings sneered. As far as they were concerned, the other party was just bluffing. Weng Peng. However, in the next instant, a large purple palm appeared out of thin air above them and rapidly slapped down. Immediately, The martial artists who could fly in the sky were slapped away by the large purple hand and landed on the ground. Not only did they land, but they were also smashed into pieces, and their blood dyed the ground red. Under such shocking power, these people had no ability to resist at all. What? How can this be? Seeing this scene, Sun Yang's face darkened. Originally, he thought that gaining the upper hand in the sky and suppressing Lin Xian would be a very effective method. Even if he couldn't kill the other party, he would be able to deal a serious blow to the other party. However, he didn't expect that the other party would be able to break through his high-altitude suppression in just a moment. Even the martial artists he sent out were all killed. This was too unbelievable. ***, how did he do it? The appearance of that purple palm was too strange. Lu Mingyue and the others also frowned. Under normal circumstances, the martial artists in the sky would definitely be able to dodge the attack with their agility. However, this palm came so suddenly that those kings didn't even have time to react before they were smashed into pieces. If this attack appeared on them, would they be able to dodge it? These people felt a chill in their hearts. They had no confidence at all. However, the older generation figures and elders all frowned. Void Heaven Hand, that's the Gu clan's ultimate technique. Is this kid a disciple of the Gu family? Hearing this, the surrounding martial artists exclaimed, "What, the Gu family's divine ability? Is he from that clan of the ancients?" Thinking of this, they gasped and looked at Lin Xian with numbness in their scalps. If the other party was really a disciple of the Gu family, they would be in big trouble. The Gu family was a clan of the ancients, a family that had produced a great emperor. It was extremely terrifying. That's right, this is the virtual sky hand, just like the rumors say. Kid, who are you? How can you know the Gu family's divine ability? Cold shouts came one after another. They were too shocked. They had to figure out the other party's identity. Otherwise, they might not be able to fight this battle. In fact, no one knew that this was indeed the Gu family's divine ability. However, it was Lin Xian's divine ability. This was the virtual sky hand that Lin Xian had evolved using the great dragon sword soul. At this moment, Lin Xian was very satisfied with the power of the virtual sky hand. Lin Xian did not answer the doubts of those people. He said coldly, "If you want to fight, then hurry up. If you don't want to fight, then get lost. Don't waste my time cultivating. You're courting death. Kid, you're too arrogant." The elders and experts shouted coldly. They had never been reprimanded like this before. Therefore, in the next moment, Lu Mingyue and the others also waved their hands. Suddenly, more than 20 figures rushed out quickly. They charged towards Lin Xian. Not only that, but an incomparable light flashed in the sky, forming a huge energy shield to prevent the purple palm from appearing out of thin air. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian snorted coldly and waved his hand. Countless sword chi appeared behind him and turned into a huge sword screen, blocking in front of him. The attacks in the sky collided with the sword screen, causing it to shake violently. However, in the next moment, these attacks were all reflected back. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the energy exploded and swept in all directions. Many warriors were affected. However, at this moment, a clear voice was heard. Everyone attacked together. "Kill this kid." This was Lu Mingyu's shout. Sure enough, with Lu Mingyu's words, the surrounding warriors attacked more and more. As for Yanqing, Sun Yang, and the others, they led their own teams and charged over quickly. In fact, some of the people of the older generation had also made their moves. Chapter 1774. In the face of such a terrifying attack, Lin Xian naturally wouldn't just passively defend. Therefore, in the next moment, his figure flashed into the crowd like lightning and started killing in all directions. The dark red dragon and snow white monkey also came out to help Lin Xian. The three of them were like dragons entering the sea, extremely powerful. Lin Xian opened the dragon sword spiritual domain and quickly rushed forward. Countless sword chi swept out and instantly pierced through 5 kings. Not only that, but more than 10 people were also injured. Everyone was shocked because they realized that Lin Xian was too powerful. So many people attacking together, But they couldn't suppress him. Instead, they were suppressed by him. One had to admit that this was too shocking. Boom, boom, boom. Countless lightning seas surged and quickly engulfed Lin Xian. On the other side, the sky was filled with saber lights, forming a curtain of saber lights that ruthlessly slashed down. Lin Xian's figure was like lightning. The heavenly dragon's 8 steps gave him speed. He was like lightning as he rapidly shuttled through the air and dodged most of the attacks. If he couldn't dodge, he would use the Azure Dragon Divine Shield to block. Boom. However, at this moment, an Elder King seized the opportunity and quickly sent out a palm strike. The golden palm light soared into the sky and carried with it a power that could topple mountains and overturn seas. It ruthlessly slapped towards Lin Xian's back. This palm strike was too powerful, causing Lin Xian to frown. He held the 9 darkness demonic sword in his hand and swung it backwards. A huge spatial crack appeared behind him and swallowed that terrifying palm strike. In the next moment, he suddenly turned around, and the 6 sword chi behind him flew out and instantly pierced through the Elder King. Pung, pung, pung. Blood dyed the Elder King red as his body was pierced through by the sword chi and fell to the ground. Seeing this scene, everyone's scalps went numb. Even an Elder King couldn't block Lin Xian's sword. It was too terrifying. Humph. Lin Xian coldly snorted. The 6 sword lights behind him quickly transformed into 6 illusory figures that accompanied him. 6 God Sword Art. At this moment, the 6 God Sword Art was being executed by Lin Xian to the extreme. The 6 Path Sword Body doppelgangers moved quickly and attacked continuously. With each strike, a king would fall. In a short period of time, the number of kings around Lin Xian rapidly decreased, and the blood all flowed into the ground. The horrifying white bones turned even more demonic at this moment, emitting a torrential killing aura. On the other side, the dark red divine dragon waved its dragon claws and held 2 killing arrays in its hands. It was like an invincible god of slaughter. Originally, there were hundreds of people surrounding them, but soon, there were only about 100 people left. In an instant, more than half of them were gone. Damn it, he's too strong. Those who were still alive felt their scalps go numb. They wanted to escape. However, at this moment, Yan Qing roared angrily. He has killed so many people. He must have used up all his spiritual energy. Let's join forces and kill him quickly. Hearing this, everyone was tempted again. Indeed, Lin Xian's battle prowess was too strong, but it seemed that he had consumed even more. Therefore, they decided to give it a try. Otherwise, they would not be able to account for the deaths of so many people. You still want to fight? Seeing this scene, Lin Xian sneered. Then let's see who runs out of energy first. Lin Xian attacked again. He was not worried about running out of energy, not to mention the large amount of energy in his hands. Just the immortality chant alone made the energy in his body several times that of a king of the same level. He was almost on par with an almighty. Last but not least, he could absorb the energy around him to replenish himself. This was something that other kings, and even almighties, could not do. Therefore, Lin Xian's battle prowess was the same as in the outside world. It would not decrease at all. Sure enough, when more than 50 people were killed again, the remaining dozens of kings finally realized this problem. Damn it, how is this possible? His power hasn't decreased at all? Instead, he has become even stronger. Demon! He's a demon! Everyone run! At this moment, those people finally could not take it anymore and quickly fled. As for the older generation figures in the distance, their bodies swayed, but they did not attack again. That was because the other party was too dangerous. He could kill the older generation experts with a raise of his hand. Such a person was indeed terrifying. Now that they were not confident of winning, they naturally would not attack. However, not everyone retreated. There were still some kings in the field, led by Lu Mingyue, Yan Qing, Sun Yang, and the others. They would not let Lin Xian go. Lin Xian was simply too powerful. He was like a demon king, slaughtering everyone until they were utterly defeated. Therefore, for a moment, other than those who were still watching the battle, there were not many people left in the field. Of course, those who were able to stay until now were definitely experts. Buzz! A huge vine turned into a green whip and lashed at Lin Xian. It was too terrifying. It was like a long green river that shone brightly. Black Dragon Fist of Destruction. Lin Xian shouted coldly and punched out. Then the green vine was directly pierced through. It's you. Lin Xian turned around and stared at Yin Qing. That's right, it was indeed Yin Qing who attacked. He finally could not help but attack. Brat! How dare you destroy my Thornflower alliance? You deserve to die. Now go to hell! Yin Qing shouted angrily. Behind him, countless rays of light shone, forming a huge thorn flower. The thorn flower emitted a terrifying aura, like a peerless monster that suppressed the sky. Not only that, countless green shadows flickered around the thorn flower, like a forest in the sky. It's Yin Qing. He attacked. Seeing this, the surrounding kings exclaimed. They looked at the green scene in front of them and were shocked. Yin Qing is a plant-type king. He's extremely strange. I wonder if he can defeat that brat. Discussions rang out one after another as Lin Xian, who was at the front, quickly made his move. Seeing Lin Xian rushing over, Yin Qing snorted coldly, and the thorn flower behind him shone brightly. At the same time, countless huge flowers formed in the sky. They were extremely beautiful like shooting stars. The waving petals carried a sharp killing intent that could easily pierce through the void. Buzz! The petals danced in the sky, forming a terrifying killing intent that swept towards Lin Xian. Boom! Lin Xian roared. His body shone brightly as he held the killing sword in his hand and rushed over. With a swing of his sword, he shattered the petals that were filled with killing intent. Not only that, but he was also extremely sharp. Every swing of his sword pierced through a thorn flower. Flower of life! Yin Qing shouted coldly and waved his hand. Suddenly, countless vines surged under the thorned flower, forming a green energy that surrounded Lin Xian. The poisonous thorns were extremely sharp, like the spears of a demon god. It was extremely terrifying. Brat, it's useless no matter how strong you are. Turn into fertilizer under my thorned flower. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.